Regular council meeting Tuesday, December 11th, 2018 at 6 p.m. At this time, please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sir? Would you like to? Or?
Our Father, thank you for once again allowing us to gather as a community. As you've given us new leadership, we pray that you would give them your wisdom. We ask you to bless our city. May this be a city that people will want to come, to live in, to work in, to establish businesses in. Lord, would you help on this first night of our new council? We thank you for the many hours that our mayor and our mayor pro tem have spent in these chambers. We pray that this would be a good night for them. We pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, could you roll call us in? One of two you get to do.
Councilmember McGuire.
Here.
Paris.
Here.
Stump.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez.
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Here. Looking for a motion to adopt this agenda.
Make that motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. New business number 1. Council declare the November 6th, 2018 election results. City Clerk Hilliker.
Yes, we ask that you adopt the resolution number 12/18/2766 of the City Council of the City of California City, reciting the fact of the municipal election held on November 6, 2018, declaring the results thereof and such other matters as provided by law.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now we move to comments by outgoing officials and anyone from the audience that would like to speak. We should let them go first, because we had that the last time.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be public comments. Christy Munt. I rise this evening to thank Mayor Wood, Mayor Pro Tem Gomez, Mayor-elect McGuire, Council Member-elect Johnson, and Dr. Nick. You all deserve our thanks for putting yourselves out there to serve our city. When I came to this town 5 years ago, I didn't know anyone. So I'm glad that I can call you guys friends. We may not agree on everything when it comes to politics, but we do agree that we care about our city. Mayor Wood, you have done so much for this town in helping move it forward. You've put up with so much from the people of this town. I understand why you choose not to continue to be mayor. I thank you for all you do, and I'm looking forward to you helping again with Meals on Wheels and our Girls' Day lunch. Mayor Pro Tem Gomez, I'm sad to see you go, but I know you will continue the hard work to move our city forward. Mayor-elect McGuire, what can I say? I worked hard to help you be mayor, and I'm glad it turned out good for both of us. You and I have not always agreed on the cannabis industry coming to town. I always was for it. I got up at this podium and told you it was not about what you believed in. It was about what was good for our city and moving it forward. Well, you did the research. You were able to change your mind. That is a sign of a true leader. Thank you. I know you will always put the city's future ahead of anything else you do on this council. Councilmember-elect Ms. Johnson, I wish you all the best and hope you can be glad you stepped up to serve our city. And I can also call you a friend I'm proud of. Councilmember-elect Dr. Nick, I call you this because I cannot pronounce your last name, sorry. Sad to say I don't know you at all, but I hope you're here to help our city and move it forward. Here we go with a new council, and I hope we can all treat each other with respect and know we care about our town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, as it winds down. Good evening, Council. Just a couple brief comments, particularly to Mayor Wood and Council Gomez. Had a lot of chat in the public forum about many issues, some of them the most important issues in the city, including economic concerns and needs of the city. I would just like to reach out to both of you and say that I appreciate you for championing the economic opportunity in California City, for understanding the depth of economic need of the city, that we actually listen to the businesses. We understand their concerns and their challenges, and that we work to improve upon the city's ability to relate to business attraction in the city. On some of the tax issues, we've had a lot of debate back and forth, have we not? But I think that we've agreed that we got to do better as a city. And so I appreciate your desire, which is very evident in your actions, how we're going to improve the city, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. And I did my homework on the November 13th request. You'll hear that later.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll speak to newly elected Mayor McGuire. I recall many conversations about the First Amendment right. I recall conversations about the public being involved in the public hearings. I respect you for championing the second call. And I appreciate the amount of work that's been done here at the council that's allowed the public to be a part of the decisions in this chamber. Through their efforts, through their research, their data. And I pray that you will continue to hold that dear in your heart, that the public is part of the fabric of these chambers. As you review data, economic policy ideas, you will constantly remember that we can all do better if we work together. And I appreciate you very much. Good luck to the incoming. Good night.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Gosh, you guys looked really good tonight. And three of you definitely come from my generation. Those ties are, yeah, 60s, 70s, really nice. Mayor Pro Tem Gomez, I ran into you at Costco and Walmart. I feel like I know you very well. I want to thank you for your integrity, for recusing yourself for the marijuana industry. I want to thank you for your even-handedness, your research, and your good temperament, and I will miss you. Later. Okay. Mayor Wood, I met you just 2 years ago at a council meeting. The first of many I attended because of your positive attitude about our city and willingness to spend some of your time with a newcomer. You introduced me to numerous people who have striven and strived to make this the best community possible. I've been to numerous settings where you participated outside the council, from picking up trash to public information forums. I've never known a mayor who gave more time and effort researching and networking on behalf of a city. You have apologized to me and I to you. We agree and disagree and then collaborate where we can. It's a democratic relationship. Someone has more than once inferred in a negative way that we are friends. I always consider a friend someone who teaches me, respects me, and shows compassion for others. So I certainly consider you a friend. Thank you for not walking away from the rudeness, the vitriol, and insinuations about your public service and private life. I would not have been so devoted. P.S. For those interested in titles and accomplishments, so that you know I mean this, Certified Nurse's Aide, LVN, RN, BA, MA, Certified Paralegal, Author, Researcher, Outstanding Graduate Student, 1990, CSUSB, accepted at USC for a doctoral program, but I went to raise goats in Colorado instead. Volunteer, wife, mother, grandmother, and friend.
Thank you very much. Anyone else before we come up here?
Tammy Johnson, California City. Both of you have shown so much love for our city. I've watched some things happen behind the scenes and the things you've had to endure. And I know a lot of what these people do when the doors close here and they walk outside, and they do it. What's the definition of a hero? The person who does the right thing when no one is watching. And that's definitely you, Mayor Wood. And I appreciate the example both of you have set for me. And you made me feel like it was possible for me to step up and show my city the same level of care and dedication. And I hope I do you proud. I am proud to call you my mayor. I'm proud to call you my city council person. And I hope I will still see you here. I'm also proud to call you my friends. You've done an amazing job here and in the community, and I just think you're amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Tammy, and we're looking forward to all the hard work that you're going to be doing for us as well.
Hi. I know all of you, and one of the things that's happened for me working in the chamber was that I got to know some of you even more. I didn't realize what city government was really like until I met Mayor Wood. I didn't realize what it took to be a mayor. And you not only represented us in the most perfect way, with grace and with kindness and with generosity. You taught me. I learned a lot under your tutelage. I'm thankful that you were a mayor, and I just can't thank you enough for what you did. I know you took a lot of abuse, and I'm sorry for that. And I'm hoping that as these new people come on board, that they don't suffer that. I really do. Even, I happen to work for Dr. Lucinovich, and I can say his name. and he's a good man, and he's got a good heart. And I think he's coming in at a different time. And I think we are in a motion of forwardness, moving forward, and that's a good thing. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Thank you for taking that position that you did. And I can't say it better than those two ladies did, because you have recused yourself, and you have been nothing but honorable as a council person. I was proud to have you as somebody who represented me. And that's the thing I'd like to say is all of you represent all of us. So I want you to do your jobs so that I can go do whatever I'm doing. That's why we elect you. So that's all I have to say, but I just wanted to thank the mayor particularly because she's stepping down. And Chuck, I wish you the very best, and I hope you're following in great footsteps. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. That's very kind. Anyone else before we move up here? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Lou. Yes, please.
Better hurry up.
I can't say it as eloquently as all the folks here that have come up here. I don't even have anything written down, but I got to tell you, Woody doesn't look the worse for wear, because I can believe that every time you left here, you beat the hell out of him.
Oh, no, no.
Right. It's true. Mayor, you and I don't see eye to eye in a lot of things, man. But I got to tell you, you've taken it as good as anybody. And you should be congratulated for that, and you should be very proud that you did a great job for the city. Have you been perfect? I don't think so. But none of us are. And as long as we recognize that, then I think we can live with each other. But you've done a fabulous job. Carlos, now you don't have to sit in back of the bus again anymore. You can be up front with us.
That's my friend, too.
Yeah, it's your friend. But you've done a great job, kiddo.
Thank you.
Absolutely great. And I know that was very difficult for you to, at times, to, because you're opinionated and you have some great ideas, and you had to sit in another room listening to us bellicose about all kinds of stupid things sometimes. But you've done a fabulous job. And Ms. McGuire, you must be a glutton for punishment, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to get it. You know you're going to get it, not only from me probably, but from other people. So you know what you're getting into, and I think you're going to do a great job. And we, I think, have a lot of confidence in you. And you can do a terrific job. As president of the EDC, I want to work with you and the city manager to make sure we do something right for the city. We got businesses coming in. We have to protect them. We have to make sure we nurture them. And I'm hoping that the new city council will help us get there. Gene, as always, you've been very articulate and very precise on your thoughts and ideas, and I like that, and I think it's great. I hope you could contribute, as you have always, to the city council. The new folks are coming in. Sir, you and I didn't see very much eye to eye, but I think we respected each other. And I know when I cussed at you, it was very politely. And I hope you did the same way. But anyway, congratulations to all of you guys, and let's have a great next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lou. Appreciate that.
Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gomez, the two of you have spent hours in reading agendas, and Madam Mayor, you definitely came armed with data. There was no question of your study, and Victory Baptist Church would like to give you something a little bit better for reading material. You're going to have plenty of time for that, so if I could present these to you, ma'am. So,
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Wood.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Very much.
Appreciate
Appreciate
that.
that. Thank you. Thank you.
That's the first time that I approached here without going through the...
Yeah. Well, you get a pass tonight.
I get a pass.
Oh, we get the boxes too.
So,
Thank
you
you.
get boxes for you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. Anyone else? Thank you. Who would like to go first? Oh, somebody else.
Very short and very sweet. Madam Mayor, Council, and my friends and family behind me, I just want to say what I'm probably the only person in the room anymore that can say this. I've said it privately to Mayor Wood, and I would like to say it publicly. I was here when Jim Riley was the first mayor of California City. And I tell you, since Jim Riley, we have not had a better mayor than Jennifer Wood. Jennifer, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much. Those are big shoes to fill, too, and Jim's.
Love you, Jen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll come up here. Would you like to, well, you're incoming and outgoing. Do you have anything to say?
I want to thank everybody who voted. I want to thank for everybody who supported me. I will do my best to earn your trust and to move this city forward like it has never moved forward before. This is, I'm into abuse. Slap, I won't say that. But overall, I care for this city a great deal. This is where I got my start in law enforcement. And I got to pay back a debt that I cannot pay back. So with that, thank you. And Jennifer, did an outstanding job.
Hey, give me a hug. We've been friends for a long time. It's on yours. Your turn.
I want to thank people who supported me and even those that didn't support me. I mean, we had some opponents. Ms. Kim Welling is correct. Dr. Nicholas Enovich is a very good man. He gives me good discounts when I go in to get my work done. No, obviously but seriously, he's a very good man, a very capable man. So I expect good things from him being up here. Tammy, very smart, very capable young woman. It went by fast. I was appointed September 13th, 2016, and it went by very fast, but we got big things done. Believe it or not, there's a firm foundation that's set. We're in a situation that we've never been in before, and I hope the new city council understands that we can build on that. I think there's going to be some good things that are going to be contributed by the new council. Dr. Nick has a lot more experience than I do in sitting here. So I expect that he's going to add some things that maybe I wasn't ready to add yet. Tammy's got some fervor. She's a fighter, so she's going to do some great things. Sitting up here, we make decisions that sometimes are adverse to ourselves. I had to make decisions, but I wouldn't have got up on the city council if I wasn't ready to do that. I did it for the community as a whole. I love the community.
We love you, Carlos.
But I think we're heading in the right direction. Thank you all. Thank everybody up here. We didn't agree on everything, but I hope that you felt that I always respected you no matter what. Thank you all, and I wish you the best of luck.
Of course, I got to say a little more. I have to start off with thanking you all very much. And I hope I make it through this, because I did really well with this before I got here. But I want to thank every one of you that supported me and elected me to council in 2012, and then electing me and re-electing me as your mayor in 2014 and 2016. I'm now looking forward to a return to a private life where I can focus again on my family and my friends, because they often take a back seat. As I look back at the accomplishments as a council member and your mayor, we've accomplished an awful lot. And we have several unfinished tasks, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about those. One is the most prominent and pressing, and that is the expansion of electricity and gas in our community. They are critical if we are to make get more economic development. Politely keep the pressure on to make sure that Cal City stays on their radar. And let's not forget the work that Public Works is doing on our streets and our water. Please continue to support them, and council, understand and recognize the hard work these men and women do every day to keep this system going. And we're far from where things should be. It's going to take a number of years for us to get these systems the way they should be. The next project is pretty, and Dr. Nick will hear a lot about this too, I'm sure, is the 140th Street extension. This will eliminate the at-grade intersection at CCB and Highway 58. And the recent authority under H.R. 5515, which is John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2019, allows the Department of Defense to provide funding to state and local governments for off-base infrastructure projects. This could potentially move the 140th Street project forward. And just to punctuate what that would mean to us is that people traveling to work at Edwards Air Force Base, because it is public now that the B-21 is going to be tested at that base, people going to Rio Tinto, people going to solar farms, people going to MASP that use that road, it'll be a much safer operation for them. But anyway, the bad news is the funding slipped to 2020, but the current Council of Governments, Caltrans District 9, our elected officials at the county, state, and federal levels, the Greater Antelope Valley Economic Alliance, and the Edwards Air Force Base leadership, and the Kern Economic Development Corporation all collaborated with us and worked with us to make sure that that's still on the radar. Something very important, and this is, you'll like this, DJ, I'll talk more about this. The Office of Economic Adjustment grant for the Eastern Kern Economic Diversification Plan is now being implemented. The fruits of this labor should help improve the local economy and that of the entire Eastern Kern region. And for the first time in a very long time, we have an industry that will produce tax revenue. It's not been an easy journey, and at times it still isn't. I believe this industry will bring a variety of new businesses into our city, and I hope our council will continue to support the folks that are spending so much time, money, and resources in our city. If they are successful, then we will be successful. And thanks to our citizens, we, this council, leave you, the new council, with 6 years of funding, which should give you more time to continue to build our tax and industrial base. Along the way, you'll have the opportunity to raise the values of properties in our city, which will continue lessening our need for supplemental taxation. And DJ asked us during our November 13th council meeting to provide testimony regarding our efforts on economic expansion during our terms in office. Well, here's a quick list that I came up with, but it's not all inclusive. And I can't say I actually did all of this, but I did a lot of it. And we as a group, the we's, did this. In 2012, the transient occupancy tax on our hotel that the city received was $7,138. In 2017, it produced $63,719, and we're on track to produce $70,000 in the current budget. This tax goes into our general fund. Only those who stay in the hotel pay this tax. We would have seen a greater increase had we been successful in bringing the transient occupancy tax up to the rate that every other community in Kern County receives, but that tax measure failed. Unemployment is a good indicator of how folks are doing. Though California City has one of the highest unemployment rates in the county. Unemployment in 2013 was 23.5%. In October of 2018, it dropped to 14.1%. That's a 9.4% reduction in unemployment, and I see that as a movement in the right direction. And as more new industries and other retail comes online, those numbers will further improve. You talked about NGO job creation, and that's a difficult one to nail down. We have many NGO personnel. These are like non-governmental job. We have many government job people who live in our community. Besides the city and our school district, we're home to some of the folks who work in the California Department of Corrections, as well as active duty military, civil service, personnel, contractors from Edwards Air Force Base, and let's not forget those that are employed at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. I know that's not what you're looking for, but however, take a look at the formerly vacant land in our community. Heavy equipment and construction workers are employed. They also have rehabilitated older structures that are now employing people or will soon employ people. How many? I ran out of time, DJ. Didn't get to do a poll on that. I've been to several groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings over the years and have to assume that local folks are being employed in some of those jobs. We will soon see Alberto's open, and we've also had a new state-of-the-art dental business become stakeholders in our community in Glen Dental. Did we lure any major warehousing operations? No. We currently are not positioned to attract that kind of industry. Believe me, we've tried. Not so good news, and DJ, you've mentioned this many times, is looking at the assessed valuation at land in our community. It's declined from 2012 to 2015 by $15,147,525, meaning that in 2012, the whole inventory of land in our community was $284,946,783. Sorry, a little dyslexic there. But two things will happen that will turn those numbers around. First is the cannabis industry, and the second I mentioned earlier. A change in the law, you're not going to like this, a change in the law that prevents the wholesale reduction in property value. Properties that fall in a tax default status will no longer be able to be purchased by the owners without paying their full taxes owed. And our schools, our city, and other agencies will receive the taxes that they were hoping for because as a result of that change. But here's some big numbers for you. Working with Supervisor Scrivener, I was successful in bringing $458,000 in an economic diversification study to the eastern region of Kern County. And that led us to successfully acquiring $1.2 million for the implementation of that project, which will aid us in the economies of California City, Rosamond, Tehachapi, Boron, Mojave, and Ridgecrest over the next 2 years. Grand total of that effort brought $1.6 million to aid the economic development in East Kern County. And regarding the efficacy of public safety during our budget workshop, and if we don't hit a bump in the road in the implementation of that budget, we will see added positions. And tonight, your new council will be taking a first step working on the compensation packages for all of our bargaining units. We expect to see community policing efforts and more stable workforce as a result of this project. We must do better. Trust. Let me assure you that we have a strong city manager that has high expectations of performance from the team that he is building and leading to bring our city to financial prosperity. In order for us to become more successful, we have to ensure that we have the right folks in the right seats on the bus that will take us forward. We can't continue to expect to do less and less. This is a recipe for a disaster. This is also the reason for the long period of decline California City has seen. And I hope that answers some of your questions. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting in 6 years and made some difficult decisions. Water rates, supplemental taxes for public safety, and as I mentioned before, a new industry are good examples. We've also taken the criticism that goes with bringing about necessary changes to improve our city. The foundation has been laid, as Mayor Pro Tem Gomez says, to improve our infrastructure and help bring fiscal prosperity to our city in many ways. My belief is that you elected me to be a good steward of the public's trust. What you received from me was my full attention. Excuse me. I advocated for our city with our elected officials at every level of government, all of our service providers, encouraged many people to invest in our community. I also worked with others to change laws that benefit our citizens. I was more than just present for 6 years. My tour of duty, however, was not without disappointment. Pardon me. And as I leave office, I do so with most of the friends I had coming in and several new ones. There are a few, however, that look at me differently, and I have to believe it's mostly due to the malicious things that have been posted on social media. According to Sebastian Rudd, in any battle, truth is the first casualty. And the lies and character assassination tactics by some folks started piling up like cordwood in anticipation of a Siberian winter. Why? Because they must not have anything better to do in their time. But what's most disappointing about all of this is that it took time away from some really important work for our city and our citizens that had to be redirected to answer allegations of wrongdoing in other matters, all unfounded, I would add. And I could say more on that, but I think I'm going to throttle back right now. But I do owe a debt of gratitude to a number of people and citizens who saw through this nonsense and on their own initiative dispelled much of the misinformation that was posted out there. I can never fully repay you for what you did, but I do thank you, and all of you know exactly who you are because you became in the crosshairs. You were put in the crosshairs too. But don't feel sorry for me, my family, or anyone else that these folks targeted. We all have much better things to do. Feel sorry for them because they have to live with what they've said and done. It must be a very difficult burden living infamously behind keyboards, in many cases anonymously and under fake identities with so much anger and hate. And as former Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson said during his eulogy of President George Herbert Walker Bush last week, hatred corrodes the vessel it's carried in. As I pass the gavel, I have forgiven every single person who created or passed along lies and rumors that damaged my relationships with some of you or made me look unethical or untrustworthy. I also forgive those who libeled and slandered me and my family across many forums. I'm not taking any of it with me, and forgiving those folks is the only way that I can achieve that. My forgiveness, however, isn't a pass for bad behavior, and in the case of a few of you, like I've said before, if I never see you again, it will be too soon, and I'm certain you already know who you are. I'm only human after all, not a martyr. I leave here with my head held high. God knows the truth, and I draw great comfort from that. To the new council, this position is a difficult one to be in because you cannot and will not please everyone, nor those outside influences that want to control you or our city. Hang tough. You are not able to control what people think or say or believe about you. You just have to take it with a smile. And no matter what or how hard it might get, please don't compromise the trust our citizens place in you to do the right thing, which can often be the most difficult things you will have to face or bear. Please leave your agendas at the door and work for the betterment of all. In closing, I wish nothing but the absolute best to our new council. Tammy, Nick, Chuck, these guys, they're here already, the new council. Be good stewards of the public's trust and engage in our community. That means get out there, see what they're doing. We have so many good things going on. We have many great people in California City, and they deserve our best efforts. It has, with the whole ball of wax, been my honor to serve you. And now I will say farewell. Thank you.
DJ, even on her last day, she came very well prepared, huh? It was a pleasure.
We love you, Jen.
If we can take about a 2-minute recess so we can get things set up and everybody, thank you.
Sorry. Let's go have a drink. I'll see you over there.
All right. Yeah, I do. I'll probably text you and give you the address. Give me a time and date.
We're gonna just mess up this whole operation for another few minutes.
Hey, Woody. This is Sam.
Hi, Sam. Hey, Woody. Christine, you take a photo? All right, I'll work.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Take the photo. Hey, what are you doing?
Woody, don't go back.
Trying to look like you. Oh, shit. I wish I could look like you. Sorry, Gene. I'm doing fine. Carolina, how are you? Okay.
No, we're not. I just didn't want it. First week, I just think that you guys do with it. Let that be.
Very nice. How are you?
You do come back to talk to me anytime.
I'll be back. We're going to keep an eye on things. Yeah.
Carlos.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
All right, let's roll.
Let's roll.
Carlos.
I'll see you around.
Thank you.
Getting text during this.
We shall see how things go.
Now I've got no juice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Here, you probably don't have one of these.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you remember who you are.
There you go.
I'll be looking like here. I'll still be seeing you around. I've got totally got
No, I walked up and you okay?
Sir, thank you.
There, sir. Now that, let's do it.
What'd you say? It is a set. That's what I told Jerry. It's a set.
But you know we won, right?
Been sitting there the whole night?
Okay, everybody, if you could take your seats, please, so we can get going.
It's terrible. Yeah. I've had that seat for 8 years, man.
He's going back to where he sat. Okay, could we have everybody come in back in and please have a seat?
Are we up?
Not, we're going to be going down first, so come on up. Tammy? Tammy. Yeah. I'm not the mayor, so. Yeah, the mayor. All right. Let's go, folks.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Look out.
Okay, we're going to be turning the floor over to the city clerk, and we need Dr. Nick and Tammy and myself need to come down. Don't have a seat yet. We're going to run down there now.
Oop, a little too early there. A little too soon there, brother.
Never, never. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Keith Middleton,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign or domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Welcome back.
That's it. And now back to the monotony.
So there you go.
Madam Clerk, can we have a second roll call, please?
Councilmember Johnson. Lisenovich.
Here.
Paris.
Here.
Stump.
Here.
Mayor McGuire.
Here. All right, now, next one is going to be designation of Mayor Pro Tem. Then this will be, I don't know, because of the...
I'm already saving money.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to have Eugene Stump become Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make that motion.
And
Second.
I've got a first by Councilman Paris, second by Dr. Nick, because your last name is just too long.
I've never heard that.
And it's too hard to pronounce.
Okay.
Okay, with that, do we
Roll call it.
we do a roll call on that, please? Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson. Yes. Lisenovich.
Yes.
Paris.
Yes.
Stump.
Yes.
Mayor McGuire.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There you go, sir. Okay, Madam Clerk, any reports or late communications?
Oops. I have some ones that have been resubmitted due to my misplacing the originals. This one's dated originally November 6th. Evidence of city's budget and financial management is in disarray. This one is November 18th. Parking of commercial vehicles, trailers, and semi-trailers in residential areas violating Municipal Code 4-2.417 and 4-2418. And I'm not sure if I read this one into the record or not. It's back from October 15th, over $4.8 million in budget estimation errors after 2 months of 18-19 budget. And that is all from JM Powers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Staff announcement report. Chief Hurtado.
Good evening, Mayor and new council. As of today, we're just under 20,000 calls for service. It's a little over 600 arrests this year. A couple things that are coming up. In the next couple weeks, there'll be some changes to the Nixle programming. Nixle is a community announcement that goes over both your phone and emails. They're going to be dropping the service for the text to phone for the lower priority community messages and advisories. They'll keep sending the text to your phone for the highest priority, which is for life or property, imminent danger. Otherwise, you might want to go and visit Nixle.com and check your settings. Just a reminder, you can set it to where you get the announcements during certain hours of the day, or just get the highest level, so your phone or your email doesn't go off all day. This weekend, we're ramping up for our Shop of the Cop. We'll be taking several local children up to Kmart to get them some Christmas presents for the holiday. We're still looking to get a few more donations. We received some funding this week from our friends from CDCR and some other local businesses. Just before we had the meeting, I got word we had 6 officers that are in backgrounds. We just lost a second one, took a position with another department. So now we're down to 4 that are in the queue that we're hoping to have start by the end of the month. And with that, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Chief Goodell.
Good evening, new mayor, new city council people, and former and current city council people. Code enforcement, 13 new cases, closed cases, 30. We have 34 new violations in the fire department aspect or part of the shop. 1 fire, 61 EMS/rescue calls, 4 service calls, 12 good intents, 7 false calls. Last couple weeks, that gives us a total of 90 year to date, 2,617. I don't know if I got a chance to share with you just real quickly on a long night and all that stuff, but fire and police cooperated about a week ago on finding the origin and cause of a pretty destructive fire over on Fir Street. And I just wanted to commend our investigators from both sides, Sergeant Hightower and Chief Kosick, but went in there, did a good job firefighting, came out rebottled, went back in, found out that we had an illegal grow, and they sat on that thing for a long time, did a lot of good investigating, and came up with a cause. And just an example of the agencies in the city, and that's good work.
Chief, could you tell us how the fireman's doing that was injured?
Fine. He hurt his hand. It was pretty minor. I mean, all injuries are, of course, something we need to look into, and we did and took care of him at scene. But doing real well. He got had on his gloves and PP and all that stuff, but you know, sometimes. Yeah, it got a little bit hot, and I think he might have even gotten a small laceration. But took care of it at scene. He actually got himself a different pair of gloves and went back in and put it to bed nice and quickly. And we had a lot of assistance. Quite a bit of assistance. Edwards Air Force Base came out and helped us. The county came out and helped us. But again, working towards self-sufficiency, and we did a pretty good job of releasing resources quickly. That's good for everybody. Get everybody back on base so they can protect their respective areas.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Public Works Director, Mr. Platt.
First off, members of council, congratulations. So mayor, council, and public. Street department closed out 41 work orders, which consists of about 442 potholes within 11 work orders. Ramsburg Mojave took a beating thanks to the OHV and all the RVs, which is a good thing, but it does lay havoc to the roads out there. And just miscellaneous projects throughout the city, grading and drainage and sign work. One thing to note, some time ago, the chief and I were looking at the speeds, and we have a bus and some control issues with vehicles coming into town. So those signages for the speed limit to slow down actually was pushed back to try to curtail the 60, 70 mile an hour people hitting the corridor of the city. And actually pleasantly surprised that it actually has an effect. The radar sign will be going up next now that the signage is in place. So we expect some good things from that. Next project we'll be looking at as far as speed limits is actually possibly on Aurelia, which the chief and I will talk about as we enter the residential areas and with some of the projects that are on Mindenboro. That probably will be hopefully pushed back to that intersection, which will just kind of prelude some people to that. Water, to let the new council know, I know they've been sitting in the audience. Our main well has been down for the last couple weeks. That's in the process of being rebuilt right now. And as soon as I have some hard numbers, I'll pass that to the city manager and he can forward those to you. We're doing some maintenance while it's down. It hasn't been apart for 16 to 20 something years. So we're doing our due diligence and putting it back together. We'll be increasing the water flow back to compensate for the difference in static pressures that the city operates through the transmission side versus the distribution side, which that was reconfigured. So we will put that back and increase the production of that well back to deal with the existing new pressures that it deals with. So those have dropped off by several hundred gallons per minute, just due to the head that it has to push against. Mainline repairs within that reconfiguration, and this is to let you all know and remember, and I say this all the time, how fragile our water system is. That what we've done is a Band-Aid on a long-term project to replace a lot of our infrastructure. In doing so, we had one of our main internal wells, which is the only internal well running outside of the transmission system, is well 16, which is regulated by pressure and not flow. We had that well shutting off over the last couple of weeks. Just that slight difference in pressure of starting and stopping of somewhere between 5 and 10 psi. We pushed 8 failures on the system just doing that, and 14 mainline repairs. So we have changed that set point, and it now runs constant, and with that we have less than a 5-pound variance across the city's water system. So we'll leave that in place, and it operates off of pressure, not flow, so it balances itself based on, it'll ramp up, ramp down, and maintain water strictly off of that. 16 services have been replaced, 131 meters. Notices that were put out last month were 250. Lockouts were 82. After that, we basically had 106 responses back from City Hall. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Platt, in regards to the speed limit sign, I've received a couple calls from citizens. Are we going to move the 55 back out to where the new 45 is, or are we going to leave it where it's presently located?
Which 55?
So
going the other way?
Going the other
yes,
way, right?
Those are, Chief and I talked about that the other day. Those will go back also to the same intersection.
Same place as the 45.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I just have one in reference to the blowout there at 91st and Columbine, I think. Well, the other day when they had a water blowout, was that due to the pressure difference?
Yes, so Sunday, we pretty much were out most of the weekend. So Sunday, those adjustments were made. So as far as the continuous running of well 16 to stabilize and maintain pressure.
It came by my house about 8 to 10 inches deep.
Thank you. Okay, Finance Director. And I'm going to say Diego because I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name.
Good evening, Mayor, members of Council, public. We in the Finance Department have started coordinating and reviewing the general ledger, schedules, and reconciliations in preparation for the annual audit. We have documents due in late December and an on-site visit in January, and we're pulling all that information together. And I'd like to present clean and accurate reports to our auditors, so that's where we're spending our time.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Anything on our financials for September, October, or November?
We're still in the process of reviewing and getting everything in order, and I should have an update for you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Parks and Recs. Roger Davern.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, members of the public. First of all, I'd like to thank a lot of people publicly tonight for pulling off our Holiday Village event again this year and all of our parade. I'd like to put a huge thank you out there to Carlinda. She's here, I believe. Did she leave? She was here. I saw her earlier. So I want to thank her publicly for running, being the parade chairman again this year. I would like to also thank Grand Marshal Reverend Sparks for being our, Grand Marshal for the event. And then we had a lot of entertainment this year, and no one got paid. It was a volunteer. Made in Ireland, the Irish band played for about 5 hours for free during the event. We had Gene Stump's band there and a couple of soloists, including Io Muzan and Daphne Knoll. So they rounded out our musical entertainment, which was very, very nice. We really appreciate that. And then also we need to thank Mr. and Mrs. Karen and Roy Sanders and Jack Walsh for listening to the wishes of the children this season and posing for lots of flashing lights to make memories. Also, we would like to thank Ford and Mojave for loaning us the vehicles that everyone got to ride in for the parade. There are no accidents or injuries to report. Plenty of shopping was done locally, and we can't wait for next year's event. It's really kind of shaped itself a little different than a few years ago, but I think we're here to stay, and we enjoy the way it is, and more the merrier, so hopefully even next year we might grow a little bit more. Parade was a little bit longer, even though we had a few cancellations in spite of the weather, One more event for this year. We're still doing our regular toy giveaway event next week. So we're still collecting toys for the community. These are like for low-income families. They register with Parks and Recreation, and we provide each child that registers with a toy. They also get a chance to see Santa and have a photo taken and have refreshments next week at our event. We have donation boxes placed at Rite Aid, Alta One, Ace, City Hall, the golf course, and the Strata. So if you're looking for a place to donate, or you can always drop by or put a check here at the City Hall in regards to the toy event. We have about 10 or 12 teenagers that their brothers and sisters are registered for the event, because the event is actually for 1 to 12-year-olds. They have brothers and sisters that are getting toys. And we don't have anything for teenagers yet, so we're trying to fill about 10 more teenage kids that are already coming to the event. Our need is a little less than last year. I think we're up around 100, but last year I think we were closer to 150. So, our need has come down a little bit in the community, and way better back than the recession was, when there were several hundred kids on that list, and it was quite an undertaking. So we look forward to that next week. And then in the new year, we're doing Wings of Hope. It's a art commission art show that's photo exhibit. The city also helps to sponsor that. The proceeds are used for lake education and things like the fishing derby, whatever the committee votes on to use the proceeds for. They stay here in the community. We're going to have a meet and greet with the artists. The whole event is January 17th through the 23rd, so I'll bring Pacific dates and times at the next meeting. But I want to get that out there so people can mark their calendars. And if anybody is a photo artist, it's not too late to join us and put their pictures on display. They have to be nature or birds, something like that. Rentals are available. We're still renting out the building for the holidays and the new year. So if people are looking for a venue, don't forget we have rentals available, and they can call the Strata. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the hard work you guys did for that. And I got to give kudos to the high school marching band. We were following them in a vehicle, and they kept a pace the entire time. Never fell back. That was incredible. So I guess they had their Wheaties, and they were screaming down the road. It was impressive. Thank you. Okay, City Manager Mr. Stockwell, city updates.
Mayor, members of the council, excuse me. We're moving forward after council adoption of the budget to start rebuilding our organizations that have been decimated over the last 8 months as we were trying to anticipate where we were going to head. So recruitments for all of the vacant positions and the newly created jobs are moving forward. We're receiving applicants, and they're being processed. A particular note is this week we received our first cannabis tax revenue, which should be the first of many to come down the road, and just shows how those who are persistent and continue to work through the process turned into reality. The state is, we thought the state had finalized its rules. Earlier this week they issued another 160-page report on changes to the current rules and regulations, so it continues to be an exciting process for everybody who's trying to figure out the best way to go forward. Fortunately, the changes, as I've read through most of that at this point, are not significant. Will have no negative impact on us here, and it continues to open the way for opportunities for businesses to locate here. And then I'd like to add my compliments to the police and fire on this the joint investigation and the control at the fire. It certainly could have been a serious situation that was tackled quickly with assistance from outside agencies. I think what's most important of that is how well our two departments meshed in accomplishing a very complex and necessary investigation, and speaks well of the work that we can do even when we are stressed for staff, and we see that throughout the city organization. In each of the departments where we have gone short-staffed, we have employees who have stepped up, who have continued to do excellent work and have gone beyond what would have normally been expected in their jobs, and as a result, we have not fallen behind in very many things. And so, as we look toward rebuilding, it's going to be exciting to see what we can accomplish when we are able to allocate all of these new resources in doing a better job of serving our community.
Thank you very much, sir. And to all the city employees that go out there and do it every day, thank you. You guys rock, and ladies rock. You're incredible. You do Cal City proud, no doubt. AB 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I don't think you have any yet. Do you have any? The only thing I had was LAFCO, which was on the 5th, and that's it for that. Civic community organization announcements. Do we have anybody?
Lou Peralta, EDC. I'd like to invite everybody to our EDC breakfast, which is on Thursday, December 20th, 8 o'clock. It'll be at Foxy's at the airport. We're going to have some announcements that we're going to be making, some new changes, and hopefully everybody will be able to come out and visit with us, break bread, and enjoy the morning before we get to work. That will be Thursday, December the 20th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you buying, Lou?
Mr. Mayor, Council,
Sir.
Ron Smith representing Victory Baptist Church this Sunday night at 6 o'clock. We'd like to invite the community out for a cantata entitled After the Fire. Didn't know it was going to be appropriate title at this time, but it'd be a great way for our new council folk and to meet a number of members of the community. I'd like to invite you out this Sunday night, Victory Baptist Church at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to public business from the floor. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the city council has jurisdiction. Please state your name for the record and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Lou Peralta once again. You've been sitting there for a little over half an hour. You haven't done anything about the phone system. How many times do we have to tell you? Anyway, welcome. You won't hear this from me anytime soon. I think they're working on it. Bob Stockwell told me that a new system is coming in, and hopefully we'll get somebody live on the other end to say, hello, this is California City. How may I help you? And that will be terrific. And I look forward to seeing that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hang on. Al, sidestep a little bit for me. Sidestep. Right there. Got to see the shirt. Thank you.
Okay.
Police officer.
Good evening and welcome, council members, new and old guys too. Al Hudson. A few things. I'd like to first start out by saying that I hope that this new council member, the new council, accepts the analysis and studies that J.M. Powers and myself do. These are predicated on GASB and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Our studies and efforts should not be dismissed nor criticized as they were in this last council meeting, because they are well-founded. As a matter of fact, we had 2 CPAs leave the city under Mr. Stockwell's stewardship. Be that as it may, I'd like the council to give me just a little bit more time because I'm going to explain something. I made a call to Assemblyman Lackey's office because what I would like to see is a statewide minimum wage for public safety officers funded by the state and augmented on a cost of living basis by the individual communities. Because by doing that, we would have a level playing field, so to speak, and we would take the finance out of the recruitment selection process, or out of the recruitment process. I've talked it over with several people, and it's been a straight thumbs up. So I would like the city to contact Assemblyman Lackey's office in Sacramento with support for that idea. And I think that that is all I have to say. And please, again, pay close attention to what J.M. Powers and I do. We are not here to harm the city. We bust our butts until all hours of the night doing financial analysis as well as project engineering analysis. And we're well qualified to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else for public business from the floor?
Hi, my name is Beth Tona.
Could you please state your married name?
Oh, I'm it's Beth Wayne and now, but
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paris married me a couple weeks ago.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Don't tell him I said that.
I was the pastor at her service.
Yeah, he didn't marry me, but he married us. Anyways, I haven't been in city council for a while, and I did vote in this election, and I been to a lot of city council meetings in the past, and I'm just hoping that the new people that have come in, that you will listen to the concerns of the citizens and take into I just hope that they won't fall on deaf ears and our concerns of the public. And I'm just hoping that there'll be a different, I'm willing to let the past be the past and move on. And hopefully we have some positive things happen in the city. And but I'm just hoping and asking that the new people that have come in, that you will listen to the people that have elected you and take in consideration to our concerns. Because I will tell you that the trust in the city has really gone down the tubes with us trusting what's gone on in the city. So, but I'm hoping that things will turn around and hopefully you guys will move us forward.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, let's go ahead and go to consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion if no member of the council, staff, or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Public comments to be limited to 3 minutes. Roll call vote is required. CC1 is the check registry, dated through 12/6/18. CC2, council approval lien and abatement properties for 7325 CCB or Cal City Boulevard and 7824 Xavier, and I believe that's Avenue. CC3, adopt resolution number 1218 2767 of the City Council of the City of California City to establish a new project entitled Central Park Recreational Improvements to the playgrounds to the playground project and submit an application for $80,252 in Kern County Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Does anybody have any questions on CC 1, 2, or 3?
So,
So
is this to the public first?
This is to the
Oh,
public
okay,
first.
all right.
And now we'll bring it up to us. And nobody there? Go ahead, sir.
If we ask for a check to be pulled, we will vote on the entire consent calendar and then discuss those separately afterwards, and then vote on them as a separate motion? Okay, that's fine.
So which checks?
Start with, well, the question will be the same on all of them, and it'll be check number 104088, 104089, 104090, 104095, 104166.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're generic questions or just explanations, but I just,
okay,
I didn't exactly understand them.
My code 3 pen isn't working that fast. Can you give me the
Okay.
check numbers again?
I apologize. 104088. 104089. 104090. 104095. And 104166.
And Mayor, I guess it'd be good then to ask if any of the council members have any items that they'd like to pull.
Well, that's
in addition to that.
That's what I'm going to get ready to do, sir. Thank you. Does any other council members have any questions or anything that needs to be pulled? Mayor Pro Tem Stump.
104123. And let's see. And I had a couple of questions from the checks. And those checks are just a couple of questions on checks. Let me see the numbers. 104086. And
where is that?
They're all 86. Just a couple of questions about those.
Oh, that, okay.
Can you tell us where they're located?
They're way in the back. They are on the pages that go horizontal, and they're on page 2 and page 5. The horizontal ones that are page 2 and page 5. It is all the same. It's 104086, and it's not on the check, but it's on some of the items, the descriptions on there. Just a couple of questions.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns dealing with CC 1, 2, or 3?
Yes. So, this is a quick question. I believe it's to the fire chief on 104100 Fountain Valley government deals. Is that for our fire truck for $39,050? Okay. That's and then this one is for Mr. Platt. It would be check number 104157, Fremont Valley. So that would be on page 6 Fremont Valley IR for $11,064.59. This probably won't be answered tonight, but I would like to know how much we have spent on this and how much we have received back from the state in regards to this project.
Not a problem. We bill as a group. All of actually the Mojave region bills as a group because that planning grant was all together. The 800,000 is always in the rear like a lot of grants, so we expend it, we bill it, invoice it, and then the state reimburses. The grant total, and we're on track still within that grant, was roughly around $840,000. But I can bring you an actual account of where we are as far as.
Have they, has the state reimbursed us for any of that?
Oh,
Do you
yes.
know? Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to know that amount at
Okay.
some time.
Okay.
Thank you. That's my last question. Address.
A couple real quick ones in reference to check number 104092. That's on the very front page.
Frontier.
That's our telephone service. Why almost $3,000?
DAR.
DAR telephone service.
Is that our bus service or our
I don't know, it's just, it seems
dial it right?
Yeah, I have a feeling that's the department, and it's coded all through one thing, and that's all they're showing on there because Dial-A-Ride's not $2,800.
Need a breakdown on that. Yeah, it just, that's the one that showed up. Dial-A-Ride is $61.90. Fire is $329.93. Police, $601.23. Animal control, $23.09. Dispatch, $32.16. And the general government is $1,790.18. And the successor agency is $16.08, totaling to $28.
Okay, so it's a combination of everything for the city.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. In reference to, I don't know if somebody asked for this one or not, check number 104142, and this is Keefe and Sons for vehicle repair. Were these vehicles damaged? It was Unit 309 and I guess Dial-A-Ride vehicle.
On the 309, no, it's just had a lot of problems.
How old's the vehicle?
309 would probably be a 2008 or 2011 Crown Vic. It's one of the volunteer cars.
Okay.
Broke down in Mojave.
Okay, and then I don't know, was the Dial-A-Ride vehicle damaged, or was that just maintenance issues?
No, that had been something obviously the shop can't do, and I don't have it in front of me, but and
if you can let me know later on, that'd be fine.
they do some work for us on certain vehicles on certain things.
And then these are just questions I've got on check number 104151. It's for Parker Construction. Remove and rebadge units. Are we just talking decals?
Yes, one of the older Crown Vics, we stripped it down so it's a volunteer car. So they put the volunteer.
Thank you. Good enough. And then, other than that, I'm good. So if do you want to just answer all the questions on the checks? If that's okay with everybody? Is that okay?
You want to go back over the?
Yeah, just
and
what?
And then do this one.
Yeah, does that seem okay?
It's up to you.
Okay, let's do that.
You're the man.
That's scary. So let's go ahead and go with the checks, starting with 104088 or however you have that. This is going to get confusing. There's just a lot of checks that
So go back to 88. Matthew Alexander, page 1.
Matthew Alexander is the part-time planner that is working in the planning operation. He is a retired PERS retiree. He worked for us up until last summer, and then we didn't use him for that period of time. And he's back now as we go through orienting the new planning employees on current issues in CEQA, and ultimately will not be needed as we get further along in that process.
He's the planner out of Ridgecrest, sir?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Several of my questions, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, fire away.
Mr. Mayor.
Fire away.
Several of these items that I'm going to be looking at, obviously this came off of a spreadsheet. Is there any way that this spreadsheet could then be turned around to have one more column and tell us what account you're charging these things to? So that we're sitting here looking at it and saying, professional planning service, is that a service under Public Works admin fund, or is it the planning department, or where's this money being charged to? So we look at this and we have no idea how the money is getting to this guy. What? Well, I understand that, but yes.
Are you referring to the check register that's lacking the column? Is that what we're looking at?
Is there a way for the check register to show me what funds are being asked to pay these services? Because I don't know that, and now I have to just list them as, because the next one will be a financial consulting service. Is that a service for which we have a planning thing, or is that a charge to the finance department? Who's paying it, or who are we asking to pay these people?
I think this is a form generated out of Cassell, but we're able to kind of program it and get you the information that you need.
Will it be on future?
I will work on getting that column at it.
Perfect. Okay. And I guess that then you say that's from planning department is what you said, right? The planning, it's being charged to the planning department, the budget. When we are recruiting for a planner, who's paying for recruiting a planner?
That comes out of the HR budget and general fund.
The HR budget. That's not considered a service. That's considered.
HR handles the recruitments in the general fund.
Okay, so and that'll be there then next time. Okay, that's perfect. The next one was why? Yes, Southern California Edison. The description is called solar allocation. I guess I just not even heard of that.
Give them the check number again for that.
104095.
We recently, or this past year, through a project with a company started off as GES, they put in a solar farm. Essentially, it's a power purchase agreement similar to what people would do on their private house, except it's much larger. And that is what we now see the allocation of the solar bills, the calculation between Southern California Edison and the owner of the cell array, the solar array.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a difference. The project is projected to save us at least $100,000 annually. And so you'll start seeing this is the first time it shows up.
This is an annual fee, or is this a monthly fee?
Pardon me?
Is this an annual fee?
It's a monthly fee.
It's not going to save us much money if it's supposed. All right, $48,000 in a month. Okay.
Except that $48,000 does not approach what our monthly electric bill is.
So maybe that's an important thing that we would have here then, I guess, or not. I take it back. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. What? This is the first month. What would a normal? I presume this to be October bill. What would a normal October bill for electricity be?
Well,
for the city
we'll
of
know that
California
next October, because this is the first time we've seen the effect of the solar credits coming back to the city. So
what was it historically last year? What was the electric bill last year that you know, you're saying we saved a. we
I
saved
can
over
bring
the
you an
year.
update because I get a running total from Edison of every meter that the city has that has a 12-month running total on every facility the
All
city
right.
owns.
All right.
We need to be cautious. We can only put so much on a page.
Oh,
and have
I'm
it still
sorry.
be
I
readable-
apologize. You're
readable.
right.
Yeah.
I'm just asking now that for my information, is I'm seeing a $50,000 payment, and I'm asking, is that a savings or not? And how would I know that it's a savings or not?
Edison has just started accounting within our utility bills, and this started somewhere around July that we had a 2.3 megawatt power generation go on that is metered directly through the city. So there's a charge from the company that produces the power, and then Edison is wheeling the discounts based on the energy produced.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that answers. You will give me a number for the next.
Yeah, I
meeting.
can actually tell you what the total 12-month running backwards, because, like I said, their business department actually keeps a list of every single city meter and what the charges are for the past 12 months.
Okay, thank you. SWRCB DWOCP.
Check number?
Check number on
Oh, it's 104096.
104166 on page 7.
Is there?
104166.
Correct.
That was a testing fee, Craig, for
Page 7.
Your permit.
solid
That's
waste.
right there.
Okay, I'm seeing it. So
I just want to know what they are. What's that entity?
that's on page 1. Okay.
No, it's
'Cause
page 6.
We have two others
One.
on page
So-
6.
Okay, you guys are.
This is the annual testing. It's on your first page of the checks, Craig. It's a pre-issue.
Oh, these are actually our certifications through the wastewater treatment plant. So we have recertifications and CUs that we have to do every.
Who is this entity?
This is a person. So it's a person recertifying. No, that's actually.
I want to know. I want to know what SWRCB is. DWOCP. We're paying.
It's
it's 10 letters. I want to know what 10 letters.
State Water
State
Regional
Water.
Control Board.
Yeah,
State Water Regional
Regional Control Board.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Resources
That answers
Control
my
Board.
question. Thank you very much. That's perfect. I'm done.
You done?
Yes.
Yeah, they're different.
Okay, and yours? Go ahead.
Couple of meetings ago, I had asked, I saw a refund for a dispensary, and I had asked if that was the last refund for dispensaries, and I was told that it was. And I was surprised to see that check number 104123 was a dispensary permit refund. So again, I ask, how many more exist? And I didn't like the answer I got last time, which was both. There can only be one thing here. So how many more are outstanding? How many more permits did the city manager give out before he realized he wasn't allowed to do that? How many more exist, and will we see any more checks?
To clarify that, the city manager issued no permits. These were applications to apply for a permit. And some elected to leave the money in to be used for a subsequent application. Some chose not to, and after our last conversation, these people stepped forward and said they wanted their money back.
Okay, how many more did we take money for?
I'll have to get that back to you. I don't have it on the top of my head at this point.
Okay, because I asked last time, and again, I'm asking again, how many people still have that? And we haven't determined a process yet, but that's one thing that bothers me because, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this on how many people submitted applications when we weren't in the application process yet.
We'll have that for you.
Yes, the question that I had on the horizontal sheets, basically, it just talked about money that we're spending at Tierra del Sol, you know, for the vending machines and so on. And are we getting a credit, and are we getting any accounting of the debits that we get from Tierra del Sol? That's on the horizontal pages in the back. It's all on one check that was written for it, 104086, and it was for money in the concessions for concessions, 2 checks of money for concessions, and then another one for
Well, we're in the phase of determining ultimately what's going to be done with TDS. The park staff is running the clubhouse, for a better term, and are buying supplies that are used and just trying to address a minimal snacks and so forth be available for customers as they come in. At this point, there is no final decision on where we're going to go, and so everything is just going month to month until we decide what the ultimate outcome is going to be. So we do have the revenue side. This is only the expense side, but the revenue side would show up in the financial statements.
Okay, and just one last thing on that same thing, DJ Appliances, what is that? Is that for something in Mr. Twohig's home, or is it for... I'm joking on that, but what I mean is, did we buy like DJ equipment to make money for either the Arts and Crafts Center or somewhere like the
Page 4.
Page 5, and it's for $915.42.
Page 5.
Is there's one on page 4 as well?
Yeah. Don't know what it is.
Unless you can remember, Craig, I've drawn a blank on it.
Oh, if it's through Public Works, I know exactly. It's the Housing Corporation. It's facilities purchasing appliances replaced, ordered by the Housing Corporation.
And it's called DJ Appliances, or?
I don't know how they posted it, but if we're buying appliances, they're for the Housing Corporation.
I don't see DJ on there.
Yeah, if we could get just to look at more
Yeah, because
fidelity.
most of them are coming out of actually Lancaster, Palmdale. So I'm not quite sure what the DJ definition is, unless DJ went and picked them up for us.
I believe we're purchasing appliances, and then we're being reimbursed by the Housing Corporation, their chuck fund, as necessary.
It's just that maybe a better description would be Housing Corporation Appliances, or...
These descriptions are the descriptions that are on the greens. The Public Works, or the person that does our checking, doesn't have any idea except for the descriptions that are provided on the greens. So whatever individuals put, that's what we have to put on the document for you.
They're in Bakersfield? Okay, thank you.
I've got one more for you, Mayor.
Fire away.
Okay, so this is for Public Works Director. Ferguson Waterworks, I keep seeing every council meeting, inventory. We got $32,000 we're paying out in inventory. What does Ferguson Waterworks provide for us for inventory? Do you know?
They're one of our largest waterworks suppliers of pipe, valves, fittings, tees, service line, and all the fittings and everything that go with it. So we have, as I updated with our projects, over $1 million project going now, along with the maintenance side that we do inside of, outside of the actual large projects that were approved by council.
Okay. So is there any way to
So you've got one for $15,985. Would that be, better description would be pipe fittings rather than just everything's inventory? So,
Well, it comes out of
I really don't have
that
an issue.
fund.
You know, it's right. It's inventory. I just wasn't sure, so you've explained it. Thank you.
You're good? Any other questions from up here? Any other questions from the public before we move on?
Dad's coming up.
Proud Dad's coming up. Yes, sir.
Ron Smith, California City. While he gets up here, I just want to publicly protest. If we're buying any used appliances from DJ, I think it needs to stop immediately.
Shots fired.
I'll have some kind of bootstrapping on Councilman Paris. On the Ferguson, I think it would be a darn good idea if the purchases of pipe and such were allocated by project. That way we could make a distinction between general repairs and specific projects that the public has had water rates has had water rate increases for, but hadn't seen the promised results. Thank you.
That's already occurring. This is how we pay the bill, not how we allocate the expense. And so each project has an accounting by project on the expenses related to that project.
All right. Since there's no other questions, looking for a motion to approve CC1, CC2, CC3.
I make that motion.
Got a motion by Dr. Nick.
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Stump. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Johnson? Lisanovich?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor McGuire?
Yes.
It's just going to take a look.
Okay. Continued business 1, resolution cannabis business application process. Mr. Stockwell.
Members of the council, on September 28, 2018, the council amended Title 5, Chapter 6 of the medical marijuana-related businesses and activities, eliminating any reference to medical marijuana and expanding the types of cannabis businesses that would be allowed in the city and clarifying the permitting process. The ordinance authorizes the city manager to issue cannabis permits in the city, subject to all the restrictions and operational requirements in the ordinance. The ordinance also requires the council to adopt by resolution a procedure detailing the application and selection process that will be used in granting the cannabis business permits and a dispensary permit selection process by which the council will award the cannabis dispensary permits authorized by the ordinance. We have attached with this report, with the resolution, the procedures to be followed administratively in the application procedures. And then the last page, Exhibit A, is the cannabis dispensary permit selection process that the council we will follow in vetting and then making recommendations to the council on, for the council to make the final decision on dispensaries that would be permitted in the city.
Starting up here, anybody have any questions?
Could the manager please summarize the selection process, selection and review?
Of the cannabis dispensaries or the overall issues? Because there's two elements. One is the process that all applicants go through. Cannabis dispensary.
I think I want to go through the cannabis, the selection process.
For
That's prior to Exhibit A, but I see what you're saying.
Article 7, Sections 5-6, .701, selection and review of finalists.
Okay. So the process, to summarize it, and then we go into more detail, the way that it is, may go into more detail, is that we would begin the process by publishing a notice in the city's publication newspaper that the city would be taking applications for dispensary permits. We would also take advantage of the data that we have in place of all the current businesses and contacts we've had on the cannabis business who have made applications, making them aware of the process for applying for a cannabis dispensary permit would be open. And then once that is done, we would go through the process of vetting those applicants to make sure that they meet the minimum criteria, and in that process to winnow it down to the groups that all met the minimum requirements, and rank those and then submit them to the city council. Council would hold a public hearing during which the council would have a presentation from each of the proposed applicants, and then the council would ultimately make the decision on whether or not to issue the cannabis permits. And then there is a process, assuming that, permits were authorized to applicants who had gone through that process, so that we would keep a backup list, and if someone's who had received an authorization for permit was unable to perform, then the backup group would be able to draw from them to take their place.
Somehow I'm reading that in the evaluation process of the selection of the selections, it says the city manager makes the final decision. I didn't read that the council's going to have a public hearing and review the
if you go up to
sum total of the applications to decide which ones were appropriate or not appropriate.
Yeah, paragraph D.
Okay, where are you at now?
The paragraph D at the beginning under section 5-6701. It says the city council shall rank the final candidates and select the top candidate in each category of cannabis dispensary, which candidate shall become the prevailing candidate. The city council's decision as to the selection of the prevailing candidate shall be final.
Okay, so the other part was...
Actually, if I could clarify something too, if you go back a couple of pages on the application procedure on page 2, you have the evaluation process there at the bottom of that page. It does talk about the city manager making the decision there, but if you then flip over at the top of page 3 there, after the initial review, this is the second paragraph, after the initial review, the city manager will issue permits for all cannabis businesses except for dispensaries. That's what's currently listed in the process.
Read that to me again now.
At the top of
I heard.
page
I know
3.
where you're seeing. I can see it. Just I'm good.
So there's two elements to the ordinance. One is the issuance of standard cannabis permits for cultivation, distribution, manufacturing that go through the administrative process based upon the rules adopted here. The council reserved in the ordinance the decision to decide to make the final decision on dispensaries. So that's the characterization of the difference in the two. Only dispensaries.
And let me just say,
okay, got it.
Initially, and this is just by way of history, that procedure applied to all business permits that were being issued, and we had no dispensaries. It was all, and the reason for that is we only had a limited number. And then they increased the number, and then that number ultimately became unlimited, in which it eventually eliminated the need for the competitive process because it was open. As long as you met the criteria that was set forth, you could get the permit, but you had to go through the criminal background check and all the other things that were required. You could get the permit. That isn't the case with the dispensary. That is limited still, and that's the reason why the original, more competitive process is needed. We can't arbitrarily grant that license because there is a limited number. So just to anybody who qualifies. We could if you opened it up for that, but in this case it's limited, and therefore whoever does get it should be the most qualified, not just an arbitrary decision because I like this one, I don't like that one. That leads to lawsuits, and we don't want that. So we need to have a
Does
fair
that mean
process.
that when we get to the hearing process that we're going to have established grading criteria for each application that we're going to
As it goes through the process, their points should be allocated. Even before it comes to you, they'll already have points allocated. So you'll have the ones that are presented to you, this one with 90 points, that one with 88. And if you're going, as a council, going to make a change, you should have a justified reason to say, now I see that this one got 10 points because of this, but in my mind that's not correct. I think that really should be a 5, and here's my reasons. And I think there should be some openness and discussion about why you would change the score at that stage, because we need to be careful about not being arbitrary.
Thank you.
I had a couple of questions on that also. Questions I had were, and talking about Article 7, if the city manager deems a dispensary applicant not worthy and doesn't present them to the city, to the city council, what recourse do they have? And I'm not saying that he's not objective, but I'm just saying, is there any recourse for a cannabis business where they want to have a dispensary and they didn't meet the threshold and they say, well, I want to appeal this?
In the ordinance itself, there is a clear provision that any of the actions that are delegated to the city manager can be appealed to the city council, this being one of them.
Okay. And if you look at 5-6.701 Delta, the question I have about that is, what if the city council rejects all of them? Because it says there that the council will rank the final candidates and select the top candidate in each category of cannabis dispensary, which the candidate shall become the prevailing candidate.
Ordinance makes it clear that the council is not required to issue any cannabis dispensary permits. And so the council could reject all of the applicants and not issue any permits.
It's just the way that this is worded, so that's my issue with this thing.
Again, that goes back to the original wording of the ordinance where there were multiple categories at issue in the competitive process. And over time, that's now changed so that really we're dealing with your traditional dispensary and then maybe mobile dispensary.
Yeah, I understand
So
that.
maybe there are still two categories in that regard.
I am for, as everybody knows here, I'm very much for the dispensaries out in the M1 area and for 2 in the commercial area. However, we really have to make sure that we do this right, and because it's going to generate a lot of money for us, and I really appreciate the cannabis people that are here and maybe listening to us tonight, but we need to make sure that it's done properly and everyone starts at the same time. That's why my concern about any residual monies that are still kept by the city need to be returned, and we need to all start at the same gate with a level playing field for all.
Anything? You have any questions? Okay. Any questions from the public? Oh, well, no? Come on, geez. Please state your name for the record.
Jeannie O'Laughlin, California City. I have a couple of questions. One of them, I noticed that the application fee increases somewhat considerably from $7,400 something to $9,000. So with the city, your fees have to be based on expenses, and I haven't seen any kind of new schedule showing what those expenses were. Has there been anything about that? I know Councilman Stump asked for that
I
once
believe
before.
there has been, and I believe, do you have it, Mr. Stockwell?
Yes. Craig gave this to me just before the meeting. It breaks down the cost. I think what's significant at this point in the process is that I suspect that most of the applicants that we will receive will have already gone through the city's process of vetting them through whatever permits they already have. So they would not be charged for that process again. And so those who have already applied and have qualified for other cannabis permits would only be charged the amount for going through this particular vetting process. And so it would not be the $9,000.
Okay, am I still on my time? Sorry.
Yeah,
so my other question was, I believe it's phase 1 and phase 2, but if you had to pay all of the fee up front, but if you don't get through phase 1, you don't get all of your phase 2 fee back. And it seems, I hate to use the F word, but it seems like it's not fair to have to pay for that second phase if you're not going to get to go through that phase. And I'll go ahead since I only have a short time. Also, the application. When I went through the application, I noticed the application is similar, but the instructions were different. And some of the things that were left off were doing budget and pro forma. And I wondered if there was a reason for that change in application, because for dispensary, if anything, it seems like we want to scrutinize them maybe a little bit more. So it almost seemed like maybe we should have some additional requirements. And if it's competitive, should it be maybe a different type application? Should it have different than what we already have? So those were my questions. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Attorney, can we go through a couple of those real quick? Jeannie, can you come back up real quick, please?
Might be helpful to hear the public first, and then.
Well, just if you can catch a couple of her questions. She wants to know why there isn't a change. Maybe we should have a different process, not lumping it all what it's in now. And the one question that came up was if they're in process 1 and they don't make it, and they've already put money into process 2, should they not get their money back, or why is the city holding on to that?
Well, phase 1 is vetting them to see if they have criminal backgrounds, if they have things of disqualifying things in their background that would preclude them from having a cannabis permit. And so that's a process that costs us about $5,000 to run an application through that process. And so that's that fee should not be refundable. If someone was denied or didn't make it through that process, there certainly wouldn't be any problem with refunding the remainder of the fee. But the initial fee for vetting them through that process. And that's where the companies that have already gone through that process should not have to pay for that twice.
Yes.
There's been no changes. If there's been no changes in the principles, then they wouldn't. They would only be paying for the secondary part of that process.
Okay. Did that answer?
Yeah. It's just it isn't it isn't spelled out that way in the application process. Was my concern.
Yeah, I had asked Mr. Platt for the stuff for the more fidelity in that a while ago. And as I said, I am for this, but I think now is not the time. I think we should probably bring this up at the next meeting with more fidelity on making it clear in these things, as Dr. O'Loughlin pointed out. And I just think that this whole thing is not ready to go yet.
If I could address one of the things that was brought up, if you'll turn to page 4 of the application, you'll see that the required supplemental information is a business plan, a neighborhood compatibility plan, and a safety and security plan. I don't know what's missing in the process. Those are the same things that we would use to vet any business, and what we got to where we are today with all of the other businesses. Certainly the presentation that they make is going to determine the quality of their presentation. But certainly we are asking for and will expect to see a business plan. So I don't know what we're failing to ask for here.
Yeah, on page 2, it does denote that if they fail phase 1, which is the vetting process as the owners and or criminal background, they can stop the process and then are refunded the greater portion of the original application, because the city had that expense already because we had to pay a third-party vendor to actually do those background and the background and also the qualifications as far as their financials. So that's in there on page 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at page 2, but yeah, I see it. I'm looking at that right now. So the $5,000 you say is for the initial fee and $4,000 is for phase 2. However, you say that if they fail phase 1, they only get $3,000 back, not $4,000.
Correct. The city is still going to have the paperwork and processes to originally on the original application. So there still are fees that are incurred by the cities.
And again, as I asked for many meetings ago, I'd like to have a breakdown of what we're actually charging these business owners.
The city clerk has sheets to pass out to you, which is the original process and the current process. One through 4 is the original process and all the fees associated with and the original fee structure, and page 5 is the vetting of just this process.
Can I ask further? Mr. Manager, when is your intention to begin this process and how the application process, and how long do you plan on having an open application?
Once the council gives direction, my intent is to put together the documentation and announce it as quickly as possible so that we can begin this process and hopefully bring back to the council in January or February recommended applicants for these permits. This is a business that can open very quickly. It doesn't run into the problems of electrical power, and we have plenty of areas where it can be done. And as we'll discuss in the next item on the agenda, there is a demand. There are people interested in moving forward on these things, and the process that we presented to you is the same process that has gotten us to where we are on the cannabis permits that have been issued and the businesses that are starting to finish their processes and get into production. The difference being that the council has reserved to itself the final decision on the cannabis dispensary permits.
So I'm going to ask again, when do you plan on opening the process to receive application, and how long will you take applications for?
If there's no change in what's being presented so that we have to redraft, I would hope that by next week we could put them out. I would advertise them for 30 days. We'd send notices out to every existing permittee and everyone who has approached us, and then advertise it and have those applications before the city within 30 days. And then we would turn those around in a couple of weeks and be before the council.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, it's very aggressive. Yes, sir.
All I ask is that I would like to see all of the people who paid for a dispensary license before make sure that we get something from the city manager that those people have received their money back that they put down for a deposit, so that all applicants start off at the same point. same beginning point of this race.
Is that until you've gotten that, we aren't going to go further?
Well, I would like to see that. Otherwise, it's not a fair process.
Just as a note, when those applicants were done, they were under the old four-step process, which was the original process. Nobody ever applied under these processes, so nobody has submitted apps. They were originally under the original resolution and the original four-step process that was in place, and they never went past the first step because they were cut off.
Understand. But again, I ask, how many outstanding ones do we still have?
I can't answer that. Building department actually took the original applications, and it was only over a few-week period of time, and then it was stopped. But there was applicants that we have in businesses now that obviously were part of that mix. So I don't believe there was very many, but I can't tell you how many.
So we can't find that out tonight?
Yes. Tonight? No, we can't.
No, because those would be records within the building department of which ones submitted applications on a spreadsheet, and that would have to come from Tiffany. But I do know there was not very many, and it was stopped not very shortly after it started, as far as killing the applications.
Yes, sir.
Well, we can certainly present that tomorrow morning when we can have the people in who deal with those files. I think it'd be counterproductive for me to go and dig through the files because I'd probably just mess them up. This is a critical process to the city. This is money that we could have been collecting already had we done this the last time it was presented to the council. And I can't understand why the applicant's consultant wants to make the process harder on her clients, but the application procedure is already robust. It requires a lot of information from the applicants, and it will be up to each applicant to determine how well they want to present themselves. And it gives them an ample opportunity to put their best foot forward. It gives everyone the minimum that they have to present, and creative people will actually add to that and not be only presenting that in the process. And the process has served us well. We have gotten to where we are with the businesses following this process. It's been modified a little bit because of after we adopted the amendments where we lifted the cap, and then the amendments where we did away with the medical marijuana language and simplified that process. We have businesses ready to open dispensaries tomorrow if we could issue them a permit. And so it's to our benefit to move forward as quickly as we can. We can have that information out to the council members individually tomorrow morning. And what it will ensure is that if there is someone who decided not to get the money collected, then we can contact them and see whether they want us to refund it or not. But I'd be surprised if there's any left. But I haven't looked at the file for some time. But
and again, Councilman Stump, nobody submitted anything for cannabis dispensaries under the article that was approved under Article 7.
Understand.
It wasn't in place.
Understand. But what I would like to see is a fair starting thing for everybody. So I would like to see all of the people who still have money lodging in the city to have the city write them a check and be done with it. And then as soon as that's done, I would like to see as many applications as possible come in and get this thing rolling.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you. I will put together a report to the city manager tomorrow from the building department of how many actually were originally pulled. And I'll send that to him, and then he can distribute it to the council.
Mr. Stockwell, can we find out how many that the city still has monies, and shoot them a letter saying we're returning all your monies without having to even ask them, just return their monies, and we start with an even slate with the new people coming for the new permits.
Very easily. That can be the direction that we take, and we can do that. Anna's going to try and see if she can get into the files to bring out what is there now. But
I think you could also, I mean, take some action on this tonight and also give direction to staff saying, I want you to go through all of them and make sure that it's trued up and everybody's refunded, and come back at the next meeting and provide evidence of that. So, I mean, the issue of if there's a credit in the balance for any of these is something that could be shown and proven and brought back at the next meeting. But I guess the question would be whether or not you want to hold this up or not. I think my concern, this is just be my concern, you have businesses that are wanting to come, and the more roadblocks you put up, it seems like you want to get started on that process, because time ultimately does equal tax revenue here. And some of these businesses, in particular the mobile ones, which will arguably be delivering outside the community to other communities, there was a state regulation, which I think I sent some of the council, or the former council this week. State regulation passed this week that said that communities that previously the understanding was communities could ban marijuana businesses in their communities, and they still can. But could they ban mobile dispensaries from delivering into those communities? And that was the outstanding question, even though they banned it. And the state is now taking the position, no, you can't, because they feel that there are people in those communities that may need the medicine, that cannot drive outside their communities to go get it, and they want to protect that right. So they're saying now that they're going to allow these mobile deliveries into those communities, and that could potentially be a big benefit to this city if you have these mobile dispensaries delivering from California City into other communities, or distributing, because they'll be subject to the tax here but be delivering in various places around the state. So I think from my perspective, not so much a legal one, but more practical, it is important to move forward so that they don't locate elsewhere.
So I have some information on the dispensaries. There was 3. Mike Esmendola. He's being reimbursed.
There was the
United Herbalism.
So depending on them, if you're going to be reimbursed.
Okay.
And then there is Mohammed.
And
I don't remember his last name, but it's
SSV Caregivers.
They have not been
San Fernando.
They told us to hold it because they wanted to use that money whenever they did open it up.
They have told us to hold it. Whenever it opened up, they wanted to reapply it.
I just think that we should issue them checks tomorrow morning and proceed, direction from the council, if everybody here agrees, is to refund any outstanding money and proceed along with
Okay, thank you.
start issuing permits.
Council, do we need to make a motion to that?
Applications, I'm sorry, applications.
We're not ready.
Hang on. Tammy, did you have any questions?
Actually, I agree with Mr. Parrish. I think it's a good idea, and Mr. Stump as well. There's just one matter for the accounts to start from zero, but not hold up this process. It's saying this will be done tomorrow morning, but we're going to go ahead and approve this application process so that we can start going, and by January be into
Okay.
setting this in motion.
Keeping that in mind, now we'll hear from the public.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Ron Smith, California City. I unapologetically am opposed to the devolving of what has happened in this process. More than 2 years ago, we were told it was going to be 1 dispensary for every 13,000 people. This is Councilwoman Johnson, Councilmember Lucinovich, you've just been seated. This is a major deal. And it seems kind of incredible, objectively, not subjectively opposed, but just listening to the check register, with having to have things explained in the check register. These are CB1 and CB2 are major, major issues. And both of you should have opportunity, and even Mayor Pro Tem Stump, who has asked questions in the past, still having questions on this, Dr. O'Laughlin, who is very familiar with this process, this should be put off. This should not be a rush. Everything that seems to be important in this town has to be done right now. And you, both of you, should have opportunity for proper discovery, not just to be briefed how staff wants you to vote, but do your own discovery as sworn-in council members to be able to do this. And both CB1 and CB2, both are, the goalpost keeps getting moved. When the questions that came up, who makes the final decision, the wording is, if you guys are concerned, have questions on it, how about the public? And I live here, and I'm not worried about the practical. I'm worried about what it's going to do to my community, the community that I live, people that we want to have move here, and everything is a crisis. This should be something that you have time to do your own discovery on, not just to be briefed how people want to vote you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I got a notice here that, Tammy, your mic is off.
Anybody else from the public?
You should have a green light. Okay.
Catherine Efford, Floyd, California City. Of course, I've been here since day one, not only in the city, but on the cannabis issue. We have 2 resolutions that have been before this council, and I agree, we have 2 new members. And Mr. Stump, it is a level playing field when you have nobody applying today for a dispensary license. They have to publish it, I believe, for 30 days. If Mr. Stockwell has the resolutions passed that are sitting here tonight, these 2, he can publish, and people will come in and they will make application. The city council will make the final decision on who gets those licenses. Now, let me just tell you something. California City will be the only city with 4 dispensaries within an 80-mile radius. We, the city, every dollar that comes into one of those dispensaries, 6 cents of 6%, 6 cents of that dollar comes to the city. Now, either we want to grow the general fund or we want to shut it down. But you've got to start somewhere. I've been looking at these same resolutions for 3 months. And don't tell me that there's anything that you can do, Mr. Stump, other than add more fuel to the fire, which Cal City can't make up their mind. They don't know whether they want cannabis or they don't want cannabis. And the people, the gentleman who requested a refund that Mr. Stockwell was talking about, was somebody who had paid the application fee for either a cannabis grow, transportation, laboratory, and decided, okay, I don't want to mess with it. Give me my money back. We are sitting on the precipice of putting money every month into the city coffers. And I have to tell you, the resolution, passed or not passed, the resolutions need to be passed. Because if you say, no, we're going to shelve them for another month, you're just going to set it back another month. And the people I know that want to make an application for the dispensary, who can very well afford, they pay the county of Los Angeles $500,000 a month out of 2 dispensaries. They know what they're doing. They could open up a dispensary in this town in less than 30 days. And 30 days later, we would be getting 6% of every dollar that comes in the door.
Mayor.
Now, that's what we have on the table for a lousy, stinking couple of resolutions, which mean nothing to anybody else except you 5 have the final decision on who gets those licenses, which is a good idea.
Mayor? Time.
Time?
Mm-hmm. We're good, go.
Sorry, I wasn't watching the clock. Anybody else? Sorry.
That's okay, I'll just louder.
Good evening, good evening, Al Hudson again. This procedure should start forth with X amount of days open, close, and the application process should start, and there should be time frames within each department that has to make a decision on the on any procedure that's relative to their department. And they should also, the individual departments should not be able to add any conditions on the application that is not in the city's municipal code. The reason I bring that up is because have been advised by potential applicants that there's been delays in departments. We want to expedite this and get moving as soon as possible. This cannabis thing has been going on for years, and we've only received one check for the tax revenue. We need to get off our behinds and get this thing moving in the most expeditious manner possible. And there should be a mandatory start date for each applicant in their business plan and a completion date. That is standard throughout the government, correct, Councilman Stump? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. Mariah Dotson. I guess I just had one question in regards to the point system. Will there be any points awarded for veterans or for social equity applicants?
No.
You better not say that, Kathy, because that's just something to delay it further.
Our intention is to follow the same ranking criteria that was used when the process for cannabis permits was competitive.
Okay, thank you.
Am I able to have a copy of the old application versus the new one?
It's online.
Tomorrow. Come on tomorrow and make a request for a copy. Would that be through you, Denise? Yeah. See the city clerk tomorrow, and she'll get your copy.
Roger that. Thank you, guys.
Ooh, military. Roger that.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. With respect to this resolution and continued business, a couple of comments. One, there's more going on here than a resolution. There's safe access to cannabis. We want to keep the patients in mind as well. There's been conversation here about a fair process, and I appreciate those comments. One of the things I asked the former mayor to give results on is, what is the city doing to build trust in the community? I've reached out to a couple of those elected saying, let's always continue to build trust in this community. Is this the fairest process possible? And I say to you, it appears to be. But however, you are right to be concerned that there are applications submitted. Because why? Because it was prohibited. It was literally prohibited to submit an application. So therefore, you have good cause to ask yourself, submitting those applications does not appear to be trustworthy, in my opinion. I think the city should do the thing that shows the most integrity by following your recommendations to refund those fees immediately. Should have done that a long time ago. Then there'd be less hesitation tonight. there'd be less reluctance to move forward. I agree with comments from Catherine Efford about economic opportunity in the city. People's buying habits are critically important. They're not, well, we hope they're not buying here yet, right? Because it's not legal yet. But we want to capture that. And how do we capture that if we haven't completed the process of the selection process? And so we are making mistakes. I say to you, we are making mistakes. Let's end the mistakes. I don't value excuses. I value results. So as a group of people, as staff and council, thank you for making sure that we're building trust and we're taking advantage of these economic opportunities. I also value what Dr. Laughlin said about cost of service. Proposition 26, write it down. It's required under the law. It's not just a request, it's actually required under the law that you would submit the cost of service. We did all this in the building permits. And Dr. Laughlin, thank you for being on the private side. It's nice to see that people are aware that government should provide a cost of service. So we can improve upon our performances. So the cost of service is part of the submission. Having said that, what's most important tonight? What's most important, I feel, is building trust and economic expansion. If you can accomplish that in your vote, good luck to you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, I'm getting, oh, I think we got one more gentleman coming up.
Raj Million. I think it's very important that we do have the dispensaries coming to Cal City because it's here one way or another, and it has to be legal, and it helps the city financially. But one of the most important things we should consider is what does the dispensary do for the community? And we should consider that it should be somebody who cares for the community, and it's not some big corporation coming from outside that are here just to make sales. What are they doing for the community? Are they involved for the community? And how does it affect the community? That should be a big, important criteria for selecting the dispensary applicants. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, bringing it back up here.
Okay, I'll go. I hope everybody understood what I was saying. I am definitely for the dispensaries, definitely for. However, I would like to have all people who have paid in applications before, all of those monies returned tomorrow morning. And as soon as they are returned, I would like to see us proceed, if the council agrees with me, then have us proceed aggressively, but by the law, aggressively, to get these things into action, and so that 30-day process can start tomorrow. And that way in January, we can be on our way to getting places selected and put in the ground and generating revenue for this city, which we barely need, which we need so badly, because we're going to have to make up that deficit not only of what Measure C gives us, but inflation. When you add inflation and cost of living and everything else to that for 6 years or for 5 years, we need to have that by that time. So we need to move as quickly as possible on this. And then one thing that our city attorney said, and that is we need to make sure that these dispensaries that are located here, that their home of record is California City, and that way we can get the revenue for ourselves. And there can't be any loopholes in it, so if you can put your legalese on it and make sure that that the revenue comes here. And so again, I'm definitely for this, but first, like I said, the refund checks need to go out tomorrow morning.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, or Mayor?
Yes.
Just a comment briefly on that. That is something that we're looking at, and we will definitely, as part of this process, assuming it goes forward, we would make it a condition of the permit itself, that their point of sale would be here in California City for purposes of sales tax, but also for the marijuana tax as well.
Okay. Do you have anything?
I'm going to ask again, I was under the impression that we were approving or the application process for two fixed dispensaries. Catherine said 4.
Two storefronts and then
Mobile.
2 mobile?
Yeah,
But the 2 mobile is now at 10 in the next item.
It's the next item that would discuss the actual number.
So we are talking about 2 fixed, not
two
4
fixed.
fixed, 2 fixed. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
two storefronts.
So the process,
Are we going to be talking before a motion's taken? Are we going to take a motion and discuss after the motion?
We're gonna take, we're gonna do CB1 and then we're gonna jump on.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the process for this next, what we're going to do next. We're talking right now and asking questions and deliberating. Are we going to take a motion and then talk after the motion? Or are we going to engage now and develop a working plan leading up to the motion? I'm sorry to be confused there, but this process is not clear. People are confused, and we're not adding to the clarity here. I think that we are aiming at bringing businesses that we want to have valuable members of our community, and we're saying we're going to do it during Christmas holidays. We're going to go soliciting new business proposals during Christmas holidays. Like, that's going to bring as many qualified, good applicants as we can find. I just don't think that's realistic. I think what we need to do is have a period of time where we go out and communicate that there's going to be an application process, and on day 1, whatever date that is, the process begins. We take applications for 2 months, 1 month, whatever we decide, but we have to decide that. That's our job tonight. But then I would suggest 2 months, and at the end of 2 months, allow staff to do their background work, and then we can set up hearings to evaluate those applications. The reality is that the fixed location dispensaries are a very valuable commodity. I don't think there's going to be any others in Kern County. And if you say there's some 70 miles away, we're still going to be the only dispensaries in the Antelope Valley. Not legal.
They're closing those down.
Shutting them down.
Not legal recreational. So we're the only recreational. I think that's what I'm saying. This is a unique category that represents a lot of value. We as a city are not going to collect any money other than a loan application fee and the taxes afterwards. And certainly, if these people are members of the community, they should be sensitive to what their impact is on the community, meaning that part of what they're going to do is say, we're going to bring back to the community something. Is it a program in the schools on a regular basis for drug education? Is it improvements to some other part of the community? Is it contributions to whatever? But it's a complicated process. If all I get is just 80 points on a 100-point scale and make your mind up, I'm going to have struggles doing that. And to be honest with you, I'm a little bit bewildered tonight with this whole process. To be honest with you, it's like, ooh, I think I'm a little bit out of the curve because a lot of stuff has gone on to get to this place today. That's just.
I think there's a little misunderstanding. The Article 7 and they were already approved and were approved some time ago. This is strictly the application modification, which also had to be approved by resolution. So the original one's still in place, but it's changed how we approached it. So this is the application process only that's being updated to match what the council already approved that was part of the resolution, which was done months and months ago. So this is only the application process. And the vetting process, when they submit these packages, these things are in extreme detail, and there have been companies waiting for the whole year to submit applications for this process. So the companies that are out there, they're well aware that we've been doing this and have been watching this for the last year. So this isn't going to be a surprise that this all of a sudden is coming forward.
So you're saying to us it's okay, let's start it up
what I'm
day
saying
after tomorrow,
is there
and
are,
we'll have it done by January 5th?
I'm saying there are companies been waiting for this over the last year that have been in these chambers and talking to council on and off over the entire year. So this is only the application process, not the ordinance, as they've already been approved.
I think to clarify, the application, the 30-day process, if 30 days is the number we want to use, will not start tomorrow because we've got some steps we got to follow before we can do that. We cannot simply publish tomorrow. We've got to present something to the papers to publish it. We write that up. So it'll take a few days to put that together. But then 30 days from the date at which we present that is when the applications will need to be received. And staff will be in the process of working on those applications as they come in, not waiting until the end of the 30 days. And so that much of the work will be done before the 30 days. And on the 30th day, if we receive, then we would go through the remaining applicants at that point. So I think what's clear is there's a two-step process here. The procedure, the current resolution under consideration by the council simply follows through on the ordinance that was amended, where the council is required to set these procedures by resolution. It's not specific to the number of dispensaries. It is specific to the process that we would vet all cannabis businesses except dispensaries, and then how we would deal with dispensaries individually. And so that's all this resolution does.
And if I could add, the 30 days that's being proposed, I mean, that could be 45 days, it could be 60 days. So, I mean, I'm guessing that with the 30 days, you're talking about applications would have to be in sometime late January, maybe. If it's 45 days, you might be talking applications would have to be in and completed by February sometime. So you could certainly move those dates around or specify when you want it to start and end. That's certainly in your discretion. Another thing, if we're following the original point process that was already laid out the first time around, that did include a category for community benefits, which kind of goes to the point you were raising, that as part of their proposal, these are the kinds of things that we intend to do in the community. And so I think, especially by you stating that and making it clear to people, these are the kinds of things we want to see, you know, that you're going to be maybe doing a drug education program or you're going to be doing something. Those are the kinds of things that will get you higher points in that category of community benefits. What are you bringing to the community as part of your proposed application? So I think that is important that you stated that. It is part of the process in the evaluation that would be considered. As well as, I believe there was a category for local hiring as well. So you would get points for hiring local, making a commitment to hire, say, a certain percentage or so.
And again, as I pointed out earlier, we already, well, other people have pointed out too, we've already approved for 2 commercial and 2 in the M1 area. So that's already approved months ago. So this is an application process. And I can understand Dr. Nick's concern on it not being crystal clear, as other people here in this city council now are. It's not clear to them. So maybe we need to fix that up. But we do need to proceed, though. I really think we need to proceed because we are losing business. And so if we take 30 days or 45 or 60, whatever the council decides, but we need to, again, tomorrow morning refund all the checks that we have, the money that we've received, and then we can start the application process depending on what they agree on.
I come back and ask the same question again. 2 commercial and 2 in the industrial is 4 dispensaries. I thought we were choosing 2. And whether they're in commercial or industrial wasn't the...
Right now, they're just... Sorry, Bob.
Go ahead.
The ordinance currently provides for 2 storefront dispensaries and 2 delivery-only dispensaries.
Okay, that's okay. And in the second one, we're going to opt to increase to 10 deliveries permits. Okay, all right, okay.
Up to that.
Okay, all right, good.
All right. Any other questions? Do we have anybody out here that has any other questions or statements?
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm more confused now than was confused before. When we have a new council member that admits to being bewildered, you're going to force this down the citizens' throat, this should be tabled. If you do not have something in there, and I am opposed to every bit of this process, how it's changed their town. In 2 years, our town has not been better because of this. We have been hurt horribly because of this. But if you have not given any points in this process to a veteran, then something's been overlooked. Everything has been emergent. It has to be done now. Has to be done now. Has to be done now. In this process, people have stood up here. They talked about how many millions of dollars they have. They're ready to go in 30 days. We've heard a whole lot of lies from this lectern. And so somebody says they're going to do something for the community to get points, the cash needs to be up front. But if you don't have something for veterans, then you need to go back to the drawing board. We are next to a military installation. And we have veterans in this process. Their service to country should be honored in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
I just got one thing to say. I think 30 days, my name is Mike Espandola. I'm one of the ones that put the applications before when they were taking the fees, and I got reimbursed already. Okay. But I think 30 days is a little too quick because of the holidays. Just a lawyer to get all the paperwork and business plan together, it takes about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but they're on vacation during this time, so 45 days is kind of more realistic. I'm not saying hold it back, I'm saying go with it, but 30 days is kind of hard with this 2-week vacation time. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Anthony Espandola. I'm from the sistering city of Boron. I just wanted to add that there's a lot of medical or marijuana institutes that are run by veterans, and they are more than welcome to come on in and apply. And some really great ones up in Bakersfield, Ridgecrest, and I think even around this area. So nobody's leaving out veterans. And I think that when somebody asks for special programs or golden tickets in order for an application process and see who has the biggest golden ticket, it kind of incentivizes a pay-to-play system, which I think you guys don't want to put yourself into that situation by saying, who's going to bring me this for our kids, and maybe I'll give you all Porsches too while we're at it. I think we need to stay away from that and stay closer to a point-based system. Thank you.
Community benefits are not Porsches. Those are things directly benefiting the community.
Mariah Dotson, bewildered is an understatement at this point. When it comes to community outreach, how is that going to be tracked? How are we going to ensure that these companies are truly coming for the community? When it comes to, give me a second, hiring local employees, how are we going to ensure that these companies are hiring local employees? My company put forth a potential, will try to put forth an RFP to ensure that happened. And not just veterans, social equity is very, very prominent right now. It's very important. Los Angeles is reserving 300 of their cannabis license for social equity applicants. And I don't think that it is a privilege to be a social equity applicant. I think it is something that has been taken away from communities that now is, the state's finding a way to be able to give that back in small increments. So I think those 2 points, social equity and veteran status, is very, very important to make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Al Hudson on the potential for revenue and investment. We need but look at the news last week. Marlboro is putting $1 billion into Canada on cannabis. the potential investors here should be welcomed, not inhibited. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You've already spoke, sir.
Good evening again on the second call. I would like to use this opportunity that this council would direct staff on any future item, including this item, that we always in the future have a cost of service. I don't want to lose your comments just because we want to proceed. It is required under the law.
We've got it right here.
Well, the public doesn't have it. It hasn't been shared with the public.
We'll make copies.
And so I'm saying this recurring theme, if those things are for the public to view, then the public could possibly understand better your process. Also, with respect to having the most qualified applicants, I would be in favor of 60 days. That leaves everyone a chance to get their ducks lined up, and you'll see the strongest applicants. I think 45 is still a little short. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're back. Go ahead.
Raj Million. Once an airman, always an airman. We aim high. Pun intended. So, question and clarification on commercial versus industrial. Are commercial properties intended for dispensaries, retail dispensaries, and are industrial properties intended for delivery dispensaries? So,
Mr. Stockwell, sir.
The storefront dispensaries are conditional uses in the commercial zones and would be a permitted use in M zones. Delivery-only dispensaries can only be in the M zones.
So retail dispensaries can be in either zone.
That's correct.
Thank you.
With a conditional use permit.
Conditional use permit.
Thank you.
All right, back up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking for a motion to adopt a resolution number 12/18/2768 of the City Council of the City of California City, adopting the process for issuing cannabis business permits and adopting the procedure for selecting cannabis dispensary permittees. Looking for a motion.
Could I add to that if we put in there that it's a 60-day because right now the way it's written, it's not 60 days in there.
I think that's the whole point. Is we're going to have to set our conditions, and then and those are the marching orders for staff. What are they?
You want to? Does everybody?
Yes,
agree?
you could make a motion, say, to approve this contingent on there being a 60-day period to allow for applications.
And the 60-day time limit.
Yeah, it'd be, as we said, with one, a return of funds to all people who have paid them previously, immediate return of funds, and a 60-day time frame.
On dispensaries only, because
on the dispensaries only.
Because we need to approve the regular application.
Yeah, I understand, on the dispensaries only, and that's my motion.
To commence when?
Tomorrow. But again, the number one thing is all monies returned immediately, then a 60-day period.
So it would be 60 days from the date that the first notice goes out.
Okay.
And that's...
No, go ahead.
The question for motion is out. You need to have a second before we talk any further.
I second.
Okay. We got a first and a second.
So how long does it take to go to notice?
It should take us no more than 10 days to have the notice ready to publish.
So our completed process would be end of February then?
Towards middle end of February.
Like the 20th of February?
Or do you want to go 45? Or do you want to do 45? Because it's going to take time to, it's going to take
Extra time is, more time is always good. I was gonna You comfortable?
Yes.
Okay.
Then let's go ahead and, so it's going to be part of this motion is going to be 60 days and the return immediately of any outstanding money from people that applied for a dispensary in the past, correct? Immediate.
Of money and then 60 days.
Do you have that, Madam Clerk?
Mhm.
Okay. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Lucinovich?
No.
Paris?
No.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor McGuire?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, CB2, hopefully we can pick up the pace a little bit. Ordinance amending section 5-6.401, number and type of authorized cannabis dispensaries permitted. Mr. Stockwell.
We've already had part of this discussion. We should be able to shorten it a little bit. The reason that staff is recommending that we increase the number of delivery-only dispensaries is a recognition of how the business is evolving. One of the good things about delivery-only dispensaries is that by having a point of sale in California City, not only do we receive the 6%, we receive the 1% sales tax, because cannabis is a product that is taxed on the sales. So for every transaction that goes on, we will receive 7% of the gross transaction. The reason for multiple delivery-only dispensaries is not because there is a need in California City for multiple deliveries within California City. It's because we are, in fact, going to be the only community or the only community of our size that will be having deliveries. And so we could easily see, and the businesses that have contacted me already would be delivering to a very wide area, both south, north, as far as the borders, that it is a somewhat central location for being able to service deliveries throughout the Antelope Valley and south into the desert community south, as well as north into Bakersfield and in northern Kern County, and as far as they're able to go. And so it's critical for us to recognize that it opens one more element of the cannabis industry to our opportunities to accomplish what we entered this business for, which is to establish a new base for our community to live and grow on, with the goal of eliminating the parcel tax and having our the taxation on the businesses in the community being sufficient to support police and fire and all of the general services that we have. So it could have been 100, it could have been 6, 10 was an arbitrary number. If we go through the process and we get 10 quality applicants, then we probably would recommend that we take 6 months, let it ferment, and then see if there was going to be anybody else down the road. If we only get 8 good ones, then we only do 8. But it gives us an opportunity to aggressively be a part of this industry outside of the city limits of Cal City, and I think that's an opportunity that is significant for our basis. Everyone in Cal City, as an adult, will make the choice on what they want to do, what they want to buy, and what they want to participate in, and that choice is certainly not in any way infringed upon the fact that this would become available. And so our recommendation for increasing it is not because of a need for the delivery of cannabis products in California City beyond the 2 that we had talked about, but to allow us to expand, allow the businesses here to expand and move out far beyond the city limits of Cal City, as large as they are, to wherever it is they can find people that will go. The businesses that we're going to see that will respond to these things are already either in a process of constructing and opening businesses here, or are already operating cannabis businesses. The first ever distribution license issued by the state of California on a permanent license was for the business here in Cal City, which will also lead to distribution revenues based upon wherever in the state they pick up products and move them from one to another, we will see the same thing there in that process. And so we should see a lot of similar names when we actually get around to authorizing these permits, because they will be in most cases the same people who are already here and doing business with us, already have made a commitment to Cal City. So we recommend wholeheartedly amending the ordinance to allow for 10 delivery-only dispensaries.
Okay, council have any questions?
No.
Any statements, any concerns?
I do have a question. Do these dispensaries have to have a discrete an address different from other businesses doing marijuana in California City?
No. If you operate a cultivation facility, you could also operate a delivery-only dispensary. The only difference being that you have a different set of regulations that you have to follow set by the state of California. And so the businesses, all of the businesses, other than this, well, even the storefronts, cannot have distinctive advertising. They have to be very low-key. And so these the delivery-only dispensaries would be distinguished probably only by the presence of some vehicles coming and going routinely from the business.
I think they're allowed to have like a green cross on the
Yeah,
building,
and a
but
green
that's
cross,
it.
yeah.
You
But
can't
that would be for a
advertise.
storefront dispensary.
Yeah, that's for like storefront.
For delivery-only, there would be no distinction at all.
Yeah. I don't think they can be
Because their
distinctly marked.
business isn't involved in people driving by and deciding they want to do business with them.
Different owners, different principals, sharing a single address, single roof. And what happens when someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do? Is it the address that gets dinged, or is it the business that we can't find that gets dinged?
No, all businesses, cannabis businesses, are licensed by their addresses. And so within those businesses, there are specific regulations on how you separate. If you're doing cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution, they are distinct portions of your building. There has to be a hard separation between when you go from cultivation to manufacturing, from manufacturing to distribution. And so if a business that was already doing that had dispensaries, the delivery dispensary, then there would be another distinct portion of the building that would be identified and limited for that basis. And the state regulations.
You could have different owners,
It
different
is.
principals in
No.
the same space?
No.
So then, so then you're saying that
talking about
these
a
mobile
permittee.
dispensaries can only be a part of an existing business rather than a
No.
new business?
No, they can stand alone. You could apply to be just a delivery-only dispensary, which means you'd have a discrete location that would have all of the requirements for that. Or if you already have a permit for one of the other elements of it, then you could do it in conjunction with that. But it has to be the same people. It cannot be, you can't mix one business with the other.
I think that was my question.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can't mix them together. And so each business has to have a discrete license. And that's both at our level as well as at the state level. And so anyone who applied for a dispensary or a delivery permit has to identify themselves, if they are already in the business, how they're going to integrate that with their existing business. And so that we would not have that. Now, another distinction would be we've had some individuals who are trying to build a business park where they would lease space to various tenants. In that case, both at our level and at the state level, each tenant would have to have a separate permit for the space that they occupy for both us and a state license. And so you can't mix businesses. They have to be distinct and separate in that process. And so someone who operates a business park could have 15 different tenants, but each one of their specific locations would be specific to the permits issued for that location only.
And only the only ones that can be shared, a shared roof would be where the principals are the same people.
Right.
Okay. All right.
If
all
they're
right.
developed horizontally so that they're
Okay.
doing multiple things
Okay.
under that same, that's the only way it can be done.
So here we go again. We started with 10 cultivation permits. we went to 30, we went to 100, and we went unlimited. We're doing the same exact thing on these dispensaries. What about the citizens of California City? You know, they get up, they tell us, we don't want it. We started with 1 dispensary, now we've gone to 4, and now we're going to add 10 more. Again, without letting the citizens of California City come up here and tell us what they want. All I see out here is growers or people in the cannabis industry other than Pastor Smith or advocates of this cannabis industry. Again, I will say I was totally for medical marijuana or medical cannabis. I feel it's a total benefit for our veterans, but for all our people it is helping. CBD oil, I see it every day helping people in this community. Recreational grows, you drive the streets tonight and I guarantee you I can come up with 10 illegal grows just by the smell of the bud, okay? We already have an illegal dispensary here in town. They've been here for months, and yet we can't seem to shut them down. You know, we've got 4. I am not going to vote for 10 more. And I don't believe this council should either. We've given them 4. Let's see what they can do with that, and then decide if we're going to go further.
This is for Mr. Stockwell or Mr. Bettenhausen, but I believe there is a law in place, is there not, regarding a saturation point in each city for the number of cannabis cultivation growers, et cetera, and there it is per population. They take it per population number, not per our area, and they're trying to keep the level at a point to make it not a benefit for the illegal growers to stay in business, but they will not allow us to oversaturate an area. But correct me if I am wrong.
You're correct, and what we're proposing would not even come close to that.
I'm done, yes.
I am for a bunch of dispensaries, for the ones that are distribution only. However, right now we've approved something for 2 commercial and 2 in the M1 area for distribution. So let's leave it at that now. We can table this CB2 and we can see how the application process goes for the one that CB1. And if we see that there are a lot of applications for CB1, we can bring this back in January, and what we can do is, or February, early February, and we can say this is going good. We have a lot of qualified people that are good, and we need more, and then we can look at increasing it at that time. But right now, in my opinion, we should table CB2 until we see how CB1 is going.
We
should
like,
get
go ahead.
the public's comment.
Yeah, we're going to
before we talk too much.
Yeah, we're going to do that right now. So, if you need to come up and say something in reference to CB2, please do so.
Ron Smith, California City. Thank you, Councilman Paris, for thinking of the citizens of this town. We are within 20 miles of a military base. We've already had three families from our church leave as a result that they do not want to be in Weedville, in Cannabis City. This is preposterous that the goal line continues to be moved. One night, there were 6 different votes in the same subject until council members got bullied till they finally said yes. We just had a 3-2 vote on one of the most important decisions in our town. And if you were to talk to 3 people when they leave here, what was voted on in the very first resolution you made, three of you probably can't tell what was said. It was totally preposterous. This came up the very first night with two new seated council members, and I would encourage you, Colonel Stump, I would encourage you to go back and rethink your vote, because that should not have occurred, and it's preposterous. This should not occur. You keep changing the goalposts. There's more to life than pot. And as former Mayor Dave Evans said, he would be the mayor that was not going to be the pot mayor. And that's all we're getting here tonight. Two things, both about marijuana. Please think of the citizens. Think of where we are. We have seen data of how many grows, how many dispensaries, how many manufacturing facilities are going to take to get us off the special tax. It's not going to happen. And all we've done is lose our public safety and put us in a precarious situation every single day. Please think of the citizens in this. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay. Catherine Efford Floyd, California City. And I know what the CB1 is. We have set out a process for issuing the cannabis dispensary licenses. Just the process. That's all. That's very simple. Okay, so somebody says, all right, I'd like to have a recreational, I'd like to have a commercial dispensary in California City. So they come to California City, and this is what they're going to hear. Well, we have a process to issue the cannabis business permit, but we don't have how many applications we can take. What we don't know is how many dispensaries we can have. So you're going to have to wait another 3 months while the council makes up their mind. Both of these resolutions are part of what have already been approved in the cannabis ordinance that says, and it was by the council's request, that the numbers of authorized cannabis dispensaries permitted be brought back to the council. That's what this resolution is. So I'm going to come into town and I want to open up a dispensary on a commercial corner, which I happen to own one. That would be just ideal. I might think about that seriously. I can't even begin the process because I don't know if it falls within the authorized number of dispensaries. We want money in this town. We got to bite the bullet and do it. And I'm not saying, hey, find out what's in the law after it's written. I'm not saying that. We know what's in this law. CB2 says that it amends Section 56401, Article 4, the number and type of authorized cannabis dispensaries permitted. Chapter 6, Regulation of Cannabis-Related Businesses and Activity. Title 5 of the City of California City Municipal Code. It's already in the code. We need a resolution on how many we're going to have. You want to make it 4? Make it 4. You're going to spend a lot of money because you're going to get a lot of applications for 4 dispensaries. You know, the dispensaries, the delivery only, those guys look all over the state of California and into Oregon and Washington. So think about that, because the money starts here, and we get every dollar that is sold, whether it's sold to Oregon or it's sold to Los Angeles or it's sold to San Bernardino.
Mayor,
when it's sold here, we get the tax.
Okay, thank you.
On CBD2, I mean CB2.
Freudian flip.
I would take exception to a few comments made here. We've been passionate about economic expansion because the alternative didn't work. I don't feel that council has been bullied. I tried that. That didn't work. With respect to education, I've heard council members say that they've been educated on these advantages of having this industry in our community. So it's one or the other. Have you been bullied? I don't think so. I don't think that losing the police force has anything to do with CB2. I think it has to do with the fact that public safety has relied upon a very ill-conceived parcel tax. Do you want to have that process happen again? You want to have quality of life in the community where we have effective police, effective general services, access and proximity to medical care. You better have economic growth. You better have fiscal sustainability. Do you have another plan for fiscal sustainability other than attracting industry clusters, which now include cannabis? How about proximity to amenities and ancillary businesses? There is no other plan. I have not heard another plan I've been asking for 6 years. This opportunity in this resolution is the only resolution that's before this council tonight that will have absolutely a positive impact on reducing the dumbass parcel tax. 16,000 people have defaulted. You're going to continue to have a plague on our assets? Say no. You want to improve upon the quality of life in this community, then you attract business in this community. Prop 64 was 2 years ago. Hello, get on board. It's legal. Let's regulate it. Let's attract the industry into California City. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Raj Millian, Air Force, aim high. I just want to say that now because veterans are brought up. But I would definitely like a veteran-owned, veteran-operated cannabis facility dispensary. But I think it's important to remember that there's over 200 licenses for cultivation, manufacturing, distribution. But that doesn't mean there's over 200 operating structures out there. So diversity is important. And the people's choice. We have to give the people choice. Competition is important. Not all dispensaries or delivery services will have the same product or the same prices. So it's important to give the people the choice to say, hey, let me go here and check out a different product, a different price. So if you limit the dispensaries or the delivery services, you're going to limit the people's choice. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Mayor, if I could.
Yes, sir.
All the naysayers need to remember or recall one thing, and that is the state of California has collected over $1 billion in cannabis revenue. So if you don't want the cannabis revenue, don't accept state money for anything. Just makes sense. I think that there's a misconception of the 10 delivery services and the 2 storefront dispensaries. You're mixing apples and oranges in the perception. You have one you can walk into and buy whatever you want, or 2, it's a delivery. It's a delivery service only. And you order what you want, and you have it brought to you wherever you are. So there's no ill effect on the community, and it's just like DJ has said. If you don't want economic development, say no. Just that simple. We need the revenue. The businesses are there. We have people lined up that are willing to operate and operate legally. Because if you don't, you're going to have illegal operations. Matter of fact, I was at a smoke shop and getting in my car to leave, and this person walks up to me and says, "You want something Oh, nope, nothing that you have, thank you. So we don't want that. We want the people to be able to buy or receive whatever they need legally. So let's keep our community reasonably safe by getting the street dealers off out of the area. And there's only two ways to do that. That is the two dispensaries at either end of town, or having a delivery service that benefits everyone, and it expands the tax revenue market. Thank you.
If you can hang on real quick, sir. If you can hang on real quick. Yes, sir.
No, go ahead.
Go.
I thought we were through with public comment.
Then come on up.
Mike Duncan, California City Cannabis Company. Mr. Paris, I'd like to commend you this evening. I know we've been a long time here. I don't think any of us in here, there are a lot of cultivators. There are a lot of people that are of the industry. There are a few that are, I would say, residents. I don't see a whole lot of them. But I don't think any of us here want California City to look like Roseman. I hope I'm hearing right. I believe we've already passed CB1, right? And we're going to allow 2 storefronts.
Correct.
And the question we're discussing right now is how many delivery services we're going to allow.
Correct.
And right now it's 2, and we're talking about expanding it to 10. Well, I'm in neither one of those. I don't plan to be in. I'm an applicant, so I'm just here from the outside, thinking about what's best for California City and the cultivators. The most, in my opinion, to keep us from looking like Roseman, the delivery service is the way to go, as not only are they sight unseen in all reality because they'll be over in the MMJ zone and there's no store frontage and no signage, but it has a second benefit that we've discussed here a number of times, Mr. Stockwell has brought up, which is we're able to go out and procure not only tax revenue, but sales tax revenue. You get the double dip from someone else's community. So I do understand you don't want to just load the place up with Roseman-style storefronts, but I would really consider pushing as many as the actual deliveries outside as you could. It would only make more money. It just makes common sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeannie O'Laughlin, California City. So I've been receiving texts from some of my clients who asked me to share their thoughts with you. And they are, of course, in favor of having more than the 2. Part of the reason is it gives them another opportunity to sell to the general public versus just dealing with dispensaries. The other thing is it should actually bring a little more business even maybe to the dispensaries here, because that means each of these companies that has a delivery permit is going to be promoting and advertising in Roseman, in Ridgecrest, in Lancaster, in San Bernardino, in San Diego, whatever. So they're going to be doing additional marketing as well, which should also help not only for their sales, but maybe even to bring business into the dispensaries. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Coming back up here.
Mayor.
Oh, hang on for a second. I apologize. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry I didn't bring this up. It skipped my mind as we began the process. But one of the questions that we ought to be asking is, why would someone want to have a delivery-only business in California City? One of the things to remember is that our tax at 6% of gross is at least half of all other taxes that have been instituted. So not only can the dispensary be able to keep more of the money for themselves, it gives them a way to market to others who can say, well, we'll share in the savings of this, because we're talking about taxes of 15 to 20% in other jurisdictions on the same product. And so a delivery a dispensary operating out of Cal City has the marketing capacity to say our product will cost you less because the taxes are lower in Cal City.
Do you have anything else? Sir? Sir? I don't have anything else to say right now myself. So what we'll be looking for is what? Yeah, that's what we're getting ready to go for.
I'll make a motion that we table this till next council meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second to table until next council meeting. Can we have a...
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So then, the question becomes, we're in the business of bringing marijuana to Cal City. That's coming. Right now, you're tabling additional delivery-only dispensaries. With what is it going to accomplish next? What are you going to get for tabling it for 2 weeks? I mean,
it's going to be longer than 2 weeks.
All right, 3 weeks.
It's going to give you, both of our new councilmen, and the citizens of California City the ability to come back and be here to give us their thoughts on it without rushing through. We've given staff direction to start the application process. We've got 2 storefront and 2 deliveries. Let's see how many applications we get. If we get 10, 15, 20, then the council can look at it and make a reasonable decision rather than saying, we're going to do 10, we'll bring it back, and then we'll do 10 more, or 30, and then we'll bring it back, do 100, and then make it unlimited, just like we did with the grows. And I'm not willing to do that at this time.
Mayor, if I could clarify one thing.
Yes, sir.
If the council, it's a 2-step process. This ordinance would be introduced for first reading. It would be brought back to the council on January 8th for the second reading. So it would be, the council has a second opportunity to adopt or amend or not adopt the ordinance. And so the action tonight would simply move it to the January 8th meeting for final consideration.
We, right now, they're doing the, CB1 is going to be looking at 2 delivery onlys. And so, again, if we see that that's going good, see a lot of applications, we can revisit this in January, have it at the first meeting in January, approve it, and then we can go to the second meeting in January and continue like that. But it's still going to be less than the 60 days that we said from CB1. So the net effect would be, what it would do is it would give our 2 members to the council more time, and us if we decide that, if our constituents come up to us and say, Gene, that's a good idea, or Gene, are you crazy? And it would give us more time, and again, it wouldn't delay anything by pushing it, like Councilman Paris said, by just delaying it until the next meeting. So just like I said, we need to give the 2 new council members more time.
Okay, we have a first and a second. What's that? For table. So could we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Councilmember Johnson? No. Lucinovich?
No.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor McGuire?
No.
Fails. Motion fails.
So now I'm making a motion first to give first reading by title only with further reading waived of ordinance number 18771 of the City Council of the City of California City, amending section 5-6.401 Article 4, number and type of authorized cannabis dispensaries permitted, Chapter 6, regulation of cannabis-related businesses and activity, Title 5 of the City of California City Municipal Code. Looking for a motion. That's it. Just looking for a motion.
Motion on that.
Got a first, looking for a second.
I'd make a second.
Got a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Listenovich?
Yes.
Paris?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Stump?
I still think we should wait, but it's going to pass, so I'll still say no. I think we should wait.
Mayor McGuire?
Hopefully we don't exceed more than 10, and I don't think the dispensaries are going to be driving around here anyways. They're going to be out of the city. So I say yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, going to new business. Council appointment for boards. Yeehaw, our stuff. I already made a list. Hopefully everybody will accept it. Tammy, I hope this will be on page 1, the League of Cities. Hang on. I got to get Madam Clerk. Yeah, well, this is the old one. I'm using just the names. If you would be happy, or would you take the League of Cities for Mountain Division? Yes. Okay, Desert and Mountain Division. That is League of Cities. All they're doing is replacing the outgoing council members.
Can we start with Kern Cog for the alternate?
Kern Cog's going to be Dr.
But who's the alternate? Can we
The
start?
alternate is, where was I at? For Kern Cog. The alternate, it was Tammy.
Okay.
Beep, beep, here comes the bus. And the...
Okay, then Kern County Association of Cities, we have Mayor Pro Tem, and then we need a new alternate.
I don't know, did you want to do that one too?
Association of Cities? No, prefer not to.
Okay. Did you want to take that also?
I have another request down the line that I'd like to take.
Well, let's leave it just as with one for right now, and we can come back to it.
Okay. Well, we're Kern County Association of Cities right now,
Yeah,
KCAC.
we're
For the alternate.
You were already there.
You're already on there, so we'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
one for now.
All right.
Okay.
League of Cities now?
Please.
That's going to be Councilman or Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Okay.
and then that's
You want to take alternate?
Who's
going to take alternate?
For what, League of Cities? I'm already.
You're already on there? Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to change
no,
it.
Stump is alternate.
Not for League of Cities.
Oh, League of Cities, then I am.
Okay.
Maybe I'll take
Okay.
it.
All right.
All right, going to the next page.
Oops.
Going down to East Kern Alliance.
Can I ask a question? On Kern County Development Corporation, are we just going to substitute wherever Jennifer is for you?
Okay.
We have a KEDC. It's Kern Economic Development Corporation right after the league. Jennifer was primary. So you?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And then you're still on for the school, Mojave Unified.
Yes.
Okay.
Confusing
Sorry.
me now. So we're good
Sorry.
there?
Yeah, we're there. Second page.
Okay, page 2. Everything stands. We're going down to East Kern Alliance. We got Don at that, and I'll take alternate.
Okay.
And then Edwards Air Force Base, that's still pending, so we don't worry about that. Going down to Citizens Advisory Committee, I'll keep that. And then California City Economic Development Corporation. I'm at the alternate, and did you?
Be happy to take it.
Okay, and we'll put Tammy in on that spot.
Okay.
And we're good across on that page. And then page 3.
Okay, for, I'm sorry. For the Housing Corporation, we need a fifth member, which would be a third member of the council. No, I'm sorry. We need a second. I'm so sorry. It would be the second one, so that we need the Housing Corporation to find a citizen to make up the fifth. So I will get with Amy.
So
We'll have two. We need a second citizen. So
Okay.
okay.
So we can do that on the next,
Well, they can just
apply?
they can apply. They can be appointed. They would be appointed at the Housing Corporation meeting.
Okay.
No, it won't be. It would be coming from Desert Jade,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
from Desert Jade Corporation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Where to do. LAFCO is going to be me. And the subcommittee for administrative, or the subcommittee's administrative budget audit, myself, did you want to and do that? And
The alternate, can we bump him up to being head?
yeah, that'll work. I don't care. If Gene wants to be alternate, he can be
Yeah, budget audit, I'd like to be on it.
and I can be alternate. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Development, what do you think? Myself and Dr. Nick, did you want to do that?
Development, this is following the Planning Commission?
Yeah, no, this is following.
Development.
Yeah.
Yeah, development.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, okay, I can do that.
Dr. Nick will do that. And then for Public Works, you want that? Okay.
Yes.
And myself.
Got it. Okay.
Then down Friends of Edwards Air Force Base. Be. That'll be.
They're not even scheduled.
Yeah.
Meeting.
I'm a Zoomie. So what? It'll be myself and Gene. 75th is pending. East Kern Economic Alliance. Tammy?
Sure.
Okay. And then alternate with Gene. Regional Water Management Corp. That's still open. And I think that's it for that one. Do we have to vote on this and say yay?
You can do all in, yes.
One vote? Okay, I
All
make
in-
can we,
Motion.
I'll make a
All in
motion that we accept all the new assignments as assigned.
Second.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Yay.
Yay.
I make a
No.
motion that we
Opposed?
adjourn.
Motion carried.
Okay. Hang on for a second, I gotta go to, get to the right page. All right, council agenda. This portion of the meeting is reserved for council members to present information, announcements, and items that have come to their attention. The Brown Act precludes council staff or public discussion. Short staff responses are appropriate. The council will take no formal action. A council member may request the city clerk to calendar an item for consideration at a future meeting or refer an item to staff. Council member Johnson. Nothing. Council member Lucinovich.
Boy, first meeting, tough. I ran with the intention of trying to bring some principles back to the meetings here. Whether I'll be successful or not, I don't know. But I was hoping that I can come here and help try to make sure that the city operates in a fair manner to all the people that come and do business here, that there is no perception that people have an advantage because of their relationship to members of the council, to staff, or anyone else. And I think that's a very important first action. I also feel that some of the confusion and some of the comments come off feeling as if they're not truthful. And I want everyone to come to believe that what we say here is coming and honest and is our intent in everything that we do. We just watched the budget process, and I felt that there was a lot of discord on the budget itself, and I think that part of that is a result of how the information is structured and given to us. And I think that my assessment of the finances of the city and the budget aren't as rosy as the projections that we were given by staff and what were approved. We are going to come up in January to the end of the mid-year, and we're going to have a mid-year review process. And what I would like to do is see if I can work with the city manager and the finance director to make the budget a more readable and clean document, and have it address certain policy issues that we're not talking about or did not talk about in this budget process. I look at a page, just the very first and one that we use the most for looking at this budget, and it has revenues and expenditures, but it really doesn't tell me very much about how the city's doing, because we don't know what are the long-term liabilities the city has, what are the recurring charges that we have to address and put into the budget. Departments that aren't, departments not under expenditures. Tierra del Sol is not under our expenditures, but we know it's going to lose a lot of money this year. And the revenues we have, a lot of the revenues in the budget that we have are marijuana money, which I thought was supposed to go to public safety.
It's restricted. Certain things are restricted where it can only stay there. It can't go out to.
But those are the questions. I didn't hear them discussed during the budget hearings, and I think they're important. We're making decisions of adding on a lot of people, not just replacing people that have disappeared, but adding on new positions. And I'm not sure I see the revenue stream that's supposed to pay these people after this year. So I'm a little bit concerned that the budget doesn't quite balance out for me. I can be completely wrong, and I will be willing to admit that when the time comes, but I would like us to spend that time, and I would like to ask that we don't hire new positions, that we fill the positions that have been put into other processes. In other words, the police department can go up to the 19 sworns that they had in the previous year, but I don't know that I want them to go up to 35, because that's what the budget, that's what got approved in the budget, and after this year, that will be the number that we will transpose into future budgets. I'd ask we freeze the hiring until the mid-year budget is reviewed and we have a discourse on policy and what we think the city is going to look like from this budget.
Anything else, sir?
Thank you.
Just for clarity, if you want an item agendized so that it could be discussed or acted upon, just did you want that at the next meeting? I just wanted to be sure we were clear so that it doesn't just die with your comment.
Well, I suspect that the next meeting, probably the meeting after that, is where we can have a preliminary mid-year review to be able to go through that. And if I work with the city manager and the finance director to clarify some parts on this budget that are missing, or they seem to be missing to me, then probably not the first meeting, but the second meeting in January.
Okay.
You had just spoken about a freeze, and so
Well, we're all right. We approved a budget 5 days ago, and we're out soliciting new employees, and I don't know that we have the money to guarantee them a job 2 years from now. So I'd like to go through the, I mean, I'm not saying the water department can't get the people that they're short, or the fire department or the police department. I'm not saying that, but I'm not sure I want to go and get a deputy city clerk right now. I'd like to do that after we've actually revisited this budget more thoroughly.
Okay, so do you want to put that on the next agenda or the meeting after that for discussion about a possible freeze until you can make that determination?
All right, next agenda. But I won't. I don't think I'll have worked the budget up to do anything more than just ask for the freeze. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we couldn't put the freeze on unless the council voted for it. They can't vote on it because it's not on the agenda tonight, but you can certainly ask that it be placed on the next agenda so that you can then act on it, or at least have a discussion about it.
And that discussion would only be to freeze until the budget can be reviewed again.
Correct. Right.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm good. You're good.
I don't know.
Anybody else want anything? Okay, just want to make sure. The goal that I'm shooting for is that hopefully sometime in the future, preferably by next year, she has served us well, and she has always been there, and that's to retire the special tax. Our goal is to set a sound tax base so we can get the job done, and we're not depending on a tax that really is it's non-sustainable. So I think that's probably one of the biggest goals that I've got right now. It's on my number one on my sheet of things that I'm hoping to do. Let me rephrase that. I'm hoping that this council will do, because it takes 5 of us to do it. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It takes 5, not just 1. To the new council members, welcome aboard. Congratulations on the Mayor Pro Tem. And that's about it I got for right now. Oh, one question I do have. Are we going to have another council meeting this month?
There's not one scheduled. If some issue comes up that we needed council action, because the next regular council meeting
would be Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, yeah. So
okay, so in all,
so the next regular council meeting would be the second Monday or Tuesday.
Of January. Well, not yet.
We got closed session.
We got closed session. That's right. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to address the city council only on those items on the closed session agenda. Each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak. Closed session number 1, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Cal Government Code section 54957.6, negotiations, California City Police Officers Associations, California City Miscellaneous Union, and California City Firefighters Association. Anybody from the public?
Yep. Good evening again, Al Hudson. What I would like to see is it discussed in closed session to allow retired officers, firefighters, to continue working after their retirement, and they not be paid benefits. That's taken care of in their retirement. I believe that they would make excellent training officers, and they would help fill a gap until we can get fully staffed, or stay on as long as they pass their old age physicals. So that is my comment on the closed session. Oh,
Okay.
I'm also kind of troubled by the fact that there's been ugly rumors that allowing officers that are retired to not be able to do that. And I think that the council needs to direct the city manager to tell his department head, the chief of police and the fire chief, yes, you can hire retired officers. It's a plus. It's actually a win-win situation. It gives them additional retirement money, and it's less of a drain on the police and fire budgets. And it gives us experienced officers that the community is very, very familiar with. And so I would encourage you all to, again, not being redundant, but direct the city manager to open the doors to the retirees. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I'll be brief for the benefit of the new council members. You've heard me speak here before, Mayor McGuire, with respect to repeating the same practices in the hiring of officers would be insanity. We need to actually do something different. We need to make sure that they understand that they are part of something special as we're building a better community that is no longer dependent on a parcel tax in our future. We need to see if we can write a community policing model, as you've heard me describe, where these officers, valued officers, would live in the community, would be a part of the community, and be available to respond in an instant, as well as invest in the community. And so if we as a city could set aside funds in the budget through this negotiation process, that you could set aside $25,000, for example, per officer. They could be vested at 1, 2, or 3 years and achieve 5, 10, or 15 grand on each of those years towards their down payment on their house. I think that investment in the community would be greatly beneficial to our community policing model. I'd love you to put those funds aside. If you're not able to complete writing the program, the community policing model, at least those funds are available in the budget and potentially part of your negotiations. What we did in the past didn't work. Don't repeat it again. Do something special. Be a part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I don't always agree with the elderly gentleman that's here tonight, but even a blind squirrel can get a nut once in a while. And Mr. Hudson has come up with something that is fiscally responsible. Hiring our retired officers is a whole lot cheaper than the $90 plus that we're paying for highway patrol to patrol our streets or Cal City Boulevard primarily. Those who protect us are or should be treated differently, because our public safety personnel are not being paid just for what they do. They're being paid for what they're willing to do. And this Christmas, when there's going to be a long break here at City Hall, police is going to be staffed 24/7. Fire department's going to be staffed 24/7. And they'll be doing that 365 days a year. They are different. And as DJ, as wrong as he is on the cannabis issue, he is right. We got to do something different. And we have got to make this place a place that public safety folks want to come and work and serve. And to think that we are the public safety personnel that we have lost, that they could make more money elsewhere, but they stayed here because there was something unique about our community, and in the last 2 years they've left in droves. Something has changed in 2 years. And I would encourage you to be generous with our public safety, retention bonuses, incentive bonuses. Do something to keep them here. They are underpaid, and I would encourage you to do something for them. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else? If not, we're going to go into closed session.
Huh? Too much fun.
I don't know which is good, which is easiest. Do it here? We can go to the back room. Back room. Yeah, just remember we have to still report out. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, my back is screaming at me right now. It's going high, stupid.
Councilman Johnson? You're not smiling. There it is. You know how hard that is at the end of the day?
Get my buy-in.
Yeah.
Oh, what are they called? Chief's SUV.
Oh, yeah.
Like, have you heard that? Oh, God. What's that guy do? He drives up in the Chief's SUV. What's he say? Put out the fire. It's a whole sarcastic, sardonic comment on what's the guy in charge doing, really? Move that hose over there. Or grab that. You know. That's good. Okay, buddy. I'll see you. You know, I owe you lunch. No, I do. Yeah. But I'm gonna under promise and over provide.
That's good. You gotta run for office. They do that all the time.
No, they over promise.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm